Let's get nasty on a Monday. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, and Anthony Stalter. Appreciate everybody tuned in today in the Fast Lane 202. Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. So as I was walking into the office today, I could sense some tension. I feel like you guys may not have had a great weekend.
What are you talking about? In which way?
Do I have a good read on that in a sports way? Like a personal way, I'm sure you guys did just fine, but
Personally,
sports
I had a very good weekend, in particular a great Saturday night. Got to go out and do a little dinner. Me and Ashley, no kids.
Nice.
Little after dinner drinks.
Nice.
Bishop's Post. You ever been there?
No.
You need to go there.
Okay.
It's incredible. Unbelievable selection of bourbons. They had the little patio open, fire pit. I mean, it was awesome. So, yeah, personally, it was great, Anthony.
Well, good.
Yeah, from a sporting standpoint, screw you, Mizzou. Okay, that's all I have to say.
You were a little upset at our Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah,
You took it personal.
just a guess. How many Mizzou games do you think I've watched from coin flip to, last buzzer? Like in the history of time. In ever, Bob.
Oh, man, I don't know. 20, 25?
Okay, Marshy, what do you think?
This season, huh?
No, ever. In ever.
In ever, Bob?
Yep.
Not counting this week, I'd say 1.
Yeah, that's what I've watched. 1 in its entirety.
Coin flip to
Yeah.
final buzzer?
I had a real big interest in this game versus LSU. Not financial interest, just I was really curious. Like, how do they match up? Like, they're ranked higher, but I know they're not better. But are they? Wow. I was in, man. They come out right down the field. Bam. 2-point conversion. Drink was like, bam. Can you feel me
How do
now?
you like me now?
And then the second half, they just went into their little baby cocoon. If we just hide in here, they won't find us. And they give it right back. And then yesterday just sucked. I picked so many teams that lost. Not a good day.
Yesterday was bad.
I mean, who saw some of those games coming? My gosh. But apart from that, Anthony, I'm feeling okay.
This is what I was picking up on beforehand. Marsh,
Yeah.
let's bring you into the fray here.
Yeah, I also had a really good weekend personally.
There you go.
Personally,
Yeah,
for sure.
From a sports standpoint,
Absolutely not.
we know that your Vikings lost to the Chiefs. I think a lot of us saw that coming.
Really?
You did not, though.
No.
Based on your picks for our 101 ESPN and 105.7 The Point Pick'em Challenge.
Yeah, I'll be getting hit in the left cheek, the butt cheek, and the right butt
you got
cheek.
2 shots coming.
2 shots this week. Not great. Was hoping your Falcons would lose. I think
They
you
tried.
were too.
They
I
tried.
picked them.
By the way,
I know you did.
It's one of the one I think I got right.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud on that final drive for the Houston offense, I was sitting there watching the game, and I'm like, this guy has ice in his veins. He is the best rookie quarterback this year.
There's no question.
No question. He was awesome. I wish some of his receivers could catch the ball. We'll get into that later.
Oh, that was a trend yesterday.
The Vikings did exactly what they have done all season long, turn the ball over. The Chiefs do what they do all season long, get calls from the referees.
Oh, yeah. He's not wrong. I saw one yesterday. Put your helmet back on. Oh, okay. Where the hell's the flag? As soon as the guy takes his helmet off, he's supposed to throw that
Jamie,
thing.
if the ref doesn't see it,
Hey, listen.
He saw it, Anthony. He did
Listen.
everything except put the helmet back on for him.
let me see if this fits.
I will not blame.
chin strap on.
I will not blame the referees for that loss. Alexander Madison, you have 2 hands, catch the football. You have 20 yards of nothingness to run that ball in and tie the game. Sure, Patrick Mahomes probably goes down, tie ball game, and wins it. But just give me something. Like, come on, man.
There's something to root for.
But
You were in that game.
Yeah, I was in that game. Oh, man, Anthony, that really irritated me. But you know what? It is what it is. I'm sure they'll lose to the Bears next week because the Bears are red hot.
Oh, come on.
But
They won one game.
Yeah, this weekend, not so great from a sports perspective. I did enjoy some of the baseball games this weekend. It's nice being, just a fan of baseball watching some of these games. Of course, the AL East, not great. How about the Twins, though? I'm not really a Twins fan.
They're playing well.
I have some friends up there, so I'm sure they're excited. They got a win. Carlos Correa ended up being a big signing for Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I wonder what he looks like on the Mets if they end up taking him.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting to think about. I'm almost glad he wound up in Minnesota again, though. Because that team's very good, as they showed. Last night they came out and struck on Framber Valdez right away.
Pablo Lopez, another great outing.
Shoved once again. And then in the National League, status quo. You had Clayton Kershaw coming out and dominating the playoffs like he normally does. And the Braves winning against the Phillies.
Yeah.
So, it's not what happened, Jamie.
No.
Clayton Kershaw
Jamie
got
was too dialed into the Mizzou game.
Right.
He wasn't
Clayton Kershaw pitching batting practice out there.
tuned up. The Diamondbacks, 3 straight victories now for them. And the Phillies, maybe it's just the recency bias here, but boy, I think the Phillies are going to pull off the upset against the Braves.
I think so, too.
Like, once again, the Phillies have locked in. Once the calendar flips into October, you know that they have the talent. That's not the issue. That's not the question. It's, are you going to be able to get into the postseason and catch fire? They did last year, and I wonder if they're going to do so again now. What a bad first matchup for Atlanta.
Yeah.
You get the Phillies, who you know well, but you're going to face Nola, you're going to face Wheeler, you're going to embrace Harper. Outstanding postseason again for him. But yeah, the baseball series have been very interesting. We're seeing some upsets. But I was watching the games yesterday and keeping track of our one-on-one ESPN picks. And we got to the late games, and I saw Marsh had the Rams over the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close one for a little bit.
I saw he had the Cardinals over the Bengals, which there was several people on that one. But when I saw you took your Vikings over the Chiefs, I thought this is a shot from half court.
Marsh, you almost deserve what you're getting today.
It was a one-score game.
We gave Marsh the ball, and we said, hey, do with it what you will.
Yeah.
And he shot it from half court. I didn't see that coming.
Well,
Yeah,
technically,
we handed him the ball right inside, like under our basketball hoop.
Like,
Figured at least he'd try to get to half court.
No,
he just threw it.
Yeah.
actually, what you guys really did was you gave me the ball first play of the game, and I just fumbled it.
Yes. In the red zone.
I just fumbled
Viking
it.
style.
You know what?
First play of the game.
Honestly, Anthony, it was like all Marshy had to do was take a knee and win the game.
And I ran.
Marshy decided to run the ball instead.
How much time roughly on the clock in a situation like that, though?
Minimal.
Who the hell would do that?
Yeah, like if he takes a
Mario
knee.
Cristobal.
Yeah.
How do you how in the name of Bill Walsh do you do that if you're Mario Cristobal? For those that didn't see it, I'm sure you did, but for those that didn't see it, you guys are all sports fans, so I'm sure you saw it. But Georgia Tech was done. Miami has the ball at home with a 3-point lead. They're nursing a 3-point lead. We could get into why they're even only up by 3 against a subpar opponent as it is. But nonetheless, we'll push that aside. It's a conference game. Georgia Tech played well. Credit them. It's a 3-point lead for Miami.
Game's
they are
over.
milking the clock. They get a first down.
Game's over, Anthony.
Just do the math on the clock. You're good. You take the snap all the way down. You take 2 knees. You have a victory. You remain undefeated. Not Miami. Not Mario Cristobal. They run the ball again when the announcers are saying, "What? This should not be a handoff. You should not put." What are they doing? And the poor kid fumbles it. He shouldn't have had an opportunity. I don't even know if his elbow was down. His elbow might have been down. Regardless, why are you running?
If I'm the kid you're giving the ball to, I'm going right to the ground immediately.
Yes.
Like the moment the quarterback hands me the ball, I fall to the ground.
Yeah.
I'm done. Like I had my guy.
I'll take the knee.
I'm so glad Georgia Tech scored, though, because if you do something that's stupid, you deserve to lose. And I feel that same way, even for some of my favorite teams. It doesn't matter if it's football, baseball, hockey.
You're right. You deserve to lose.
Basketball. I don't have a favorite team in basketball. But if you do something stupid, if I did, you deserve to lose.
And then to compound the issue, how do you let the receiver get behind your defense in that situation? Just protect the end zone.
They call it prevent. Just
Yeah, they
make
prevented
sure,
they prevented the win.
just make
That's what
sure they
did.
can't get behind you. That's usually how it is.
Oh man, that. I mean, if you're, I know there's contract situation, things like that, but how do you let Mario Cristobal coach another game for you?
Well, I don't even let him near the facility. Quite honestly, when he arrives the next day, his computer key doesn't work, and all of his things are out on the front yard.
Yes.
Take this.
We wish you nothing but the best. Take a knee.
We get a text from the 618.
Oh, boy.
It was like the Cardinals front office scheduled a press conference and then canceled it.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
We will get into that.
I mean,
we
that's a
got
solid
some
look,
thoughts
for sure.
We got some thoughts on that. We also have some thoughts on the final roster moves for the Blues. We'll get into that coming up next. You also have NFL. Well, you know how we did in the Pick'em Challenge. We're down by 2 right now, but we do have an opportunity to tie. We don't even know. There's no tiebreakers, right? That's it.
No, last year, unfortunately,
Last year's just a tie.
it was just a tie.
Yep. So we have an opportunity to tie, but we need the Packers to win tonight. We'll get into Mizzou's loss to LSU. And as the 618 just said, we'll get into some thoughts on that Cardinals decision there to cancel the press conference, the wrap-up, the regular season wrap-up. But what do the final roster moves mean for the Blues moving forward? Jamie will tell you next on 101 ESPN.
I want to talk to you here about Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency. And one of the biggest fears I think that consumers have with their insurance provider is, one, needing them and not knowing who to get in touch with. Or there's an issue and you just can't seem to get it resolved because you got a 1-800 number and whoever you talk to doesn't really have the answer. So they try to put you in touch with somebody else and then you have to repeat your whole story to them. You don't have to deal with that with Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency. We talked about it earlier. We just purchased a brand new vehicle, of course, from Johnny Londoff Chevrolet. Where else? And all we needed to do was add some insurance to the vehicle, and we did. We just text message, took a picture of the things. Tracy Bibb had it, took care of it, and done. No problem at all. Why? That's because I know Tracy Bibb and the Bibb Agency, and they give us that personal customer attention that we deserve, and things get taken care of quickly. So I have this service. You should too. Give Tracy and the Bibb Agency a call for a free non-committal quote. That number's 314-328-4260. Again, that's 314-328-4260. It's no fib. You're in good hands with Tracy Bibb.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. So the Blues have released their final roster. We got NHL action starting on Tuesday night. The NHL season drops the puck on Tuesday night. You've got Blues and Stars pregame at 6 o'clock on Wednesday. So we have our Thursday, excuse me. Thursday is the first Blues game.
You had me confused.
Jamie just pooped himself. He's like, wait a minute, Wednesday? I didn't plan for Wednesday. Thursday is first game.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, season starts. Blues season starts on Thursday against the Stars. Again, pregame right here on 101 ESPN starting at 6 o'clock. But the final roster is done now, Jamie. So what do you think the final roster moves have told us about this team moving forward?
Well, a couple of things is that you've got some tough decisions still to make on the defensive side of things. And I honestly feel like Army did this on purpose because that was such an area of concern last year. And if you have an area that you feel lacked last year, then why wouldn't you have more guys that can compete for the jobs? Honestly. And I know there are some technicalities, like, look, Scott Perunovich and Tyler Tucker would have had to clear waivers to go down to the minors, and they probably would have been claimed. But nonetheless, it looks and feels like there's internal competition in a good way. Like your top four defensemen, those guys have been leading the way here so far in preseason and training camp, watching them there today, their first official team practice. Those guys are on their toes. They're executing. They're playing with intensity or practicing with intensity. So I like that. So what it tells me is that you have some numbers on the back end to make sure that gets rectified or that's headed in the right direction. And it also tells me that Army's looking at some youth as well. Because Jake Neighbors did not require waivers to go into the minors. Looks like in the last couple of games played himself onto the roster. Nikita Alexandrov. He was probably headed for the waiver wire, had a really solid game in Dallas, comes back here, has a goal and a very solid game for the home game here against Dallas, and played his way into not being put on waivers. Nathan Walker, Mackenzie McEachern, a little older. So when you look at it, you go, okay, if I'm doing the math and I have these players available to me, but I got Alexandrov, who's younger than these guys. I've got more runway with this player, and the level of talent is not all that dissimilar. So if Walker, McEachern, and Alexandrov are all basically the same player, you stay with the youth, and you continue to develop with the young guy. I think it's a positive thing. So I think that's really what happened there. As you looked at the numbers on defense, you had 8 guys on one-way contracts, Calle Rosen on a 2-way, and he's 29 years old. I know statistically he had a good season last year. He's a great guy, but it is what it is. You're not going to lose Scott Perunovich or Tyler Tucker for nothing, because that's essentially what happens. They pick up on waivers and they're gone. So that would be bad management of the roster by Doug Armstrong. And all 4 players who were put on waivers, including Malcolm Subban, he had an incredible camp. He really helped himself in that department. All 4 guys cleared waivers and are on their way down to Springfield. So all 4 guys will be available to the Blues at some point if there is a lack of performance or if there's an injury of some kind. So I think Army did the right thing in the way he went about constructing this roster for the first game coming up on Thursday. Where it goes from here, we'll see. The rest of this, quite honestly, is on the players. More so the players and the coaching staff, but both entities together, they have a lot to prove.
So, Jamie, I know we got a text message, and you can always participate in the show. You can reach out via the Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646. You can also reach us on our YouTube channel, the Air Alliance team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. But some people have asked a couple of times now, how do you expect this Blues team to be better with a similar roster? What would you say to that?
Okay, so Cody Bellinger, how was his season, not this year that just went by, the season before?
Not good.
Okay, how is his season this year?
Excellent.
Wow, isn't that amazing? But he's the same guy.
First of all, Cody Bellinger doesn't play hockey, and second of all, he's not a Blue.
I know, Anthony.
So I don't know how Cody Bellinger is going to help you this year, Jamie. You're a smart guy. This was one of the worst answers I think you've ever given, though.
Yeah. You know what, Anthony? I totally overlooked the fact that you are clueless sometimes, and that's fine. It's fine. Let me help you.
Yeah.
So as a comparable, okay, nothing to do with the Blues roster, nothing to do with hockey. I guess what my my comparable is that if you have a really good player that has a bad season, is he now a bad player?
No, it's just a bad season.
Bad season.
Yeah.
Okay. So when the Blues put together this roster and they have pretty much the same team, not everybody had bad seasons last year. So, like, that's the thing that people have to try and get over. Like, Kyrou, Thomas, Shen, a lot of guys had good seasons last year. Buchnevich had a good season. Kapanen and Verana were good for you when they got here. A lot of that is positive now. Some guys that were here got traded, and there was a lot of movement on the roster. And your defense corps did not overall have a great season. But that doesn't mean they can't turn it around. It doesn't mean they can't change. It doesn't mean they can't be what they once were. Talking with Nick Leddy, talking with Colton Parayko, talking with various guys on the team, they are carrying a chip on their shoulder into the season this year. They understand and realize what the narrative is surrounding that defensive core, and they want to change that narrative. So, again, I go back to, the question of how can you expect anything different out of this roster? Well, because if you look at the resume, their entire body of work for these players, it tells me that they're really good NHL players. If not that, at least good NHL players. I think that we get back to that this season. I think that this team has been galvanized early. The attitude and the atmosphere surrounding this locker room and on the ice and everything that's going on, it's been very positive. Now, they haven't lost a game yet, right? But they also haven't won a game. So anybody can be happy at that point. But I just feel Braden Shen at the helm as the captain this year, and the other leadership guys stepping up, knowing that last year was unacceptable. The coaching staff knowing that they don't want to have that same feeling. And Army, quite honestly, you think he likes it? No, he had a horrible offseason because he had to answer questions all summer long about his roster, about his team, about the future of the team, about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So all those things combined tell me that you should be looking at a much better season for the Blues this year.
The other factor, too, and I know that this was brought up, Army, in fact, brought it up, where you've got, and you had said this in a segment last week, everybody's under contract now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a lot of the same hurdles within that clubhouse, that locker room that you did a year ago. And I'm not saying that this was the reason why the Blues lost last year. The on-ice product was the main reason. But you can't tell me that O'Reilly's contract situation and Tarasenko and Barbashev's contract situation didn't kind of just hang over the locker room a little bit.
Oh, yeah,
that
absolutely.
Uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
And Vladimir Tarasenko, for as good as he was the season before, in terms of not being a distraction and playing hard, I don't know if you got the same Vladimir Tarasenko last year that you did the year prior when things kind of emerged that he wanted out. So I think you have to factor that in, too. It's not, it might be a similar roster, but there are some guys that did not play well last season or were impacting the roster in different ways that are not here either.
Yeah, and, Army talked pretty openly about that when we had a chance to talk to him before camp even started. He just said, and Craig Berube kind of echoed that sentiment too, is they really didn't understand what kind of an impact that could have on the locker room and the overall success of the team. And the guys that were here with expiring contracts, not that they were bad guys, just they were in a situation that, they have 1 year left. So ultimately, they as individuals have to play well. They have to produce stats that are going to get them paid, whether it's here in St. Louis or somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And when you have a number of players that is that big that are looking to cash in or that have this contract looming over them, it kind of creates an anxiety amongst the group. You can feel it from the individuals that are going through it. Then you add to the fire on that one that you have a guy that's been wanting to get out of here for a couple of years.
Yep.
How can you look at that teammate and think that he's buying into the team first mentality in a contract year to where he's wanted out of here? All of it created an odd situation for the Blues that, Craig Berube admits himself that wishes he would have handled it a little differently. But you don't know until you know sometimes. Sometimes you can't decide on certain players or make certain decisions until you've lived that moment. So now, having lived that last year and knowing what the outcome was, I think that not only the coaching staff and the management, but the players also know how to handle this. And the players know that they don't want a repeat of anything that happened last year. I think adding Kevin Hayes to this team and Oscar Sundqvist, they're invaluable. Watching these guys with the way they interact with their teammates and then watching them as actual hockey players, the size that they bring, the puck possession skills that they have, and their ability to get to the front of the net, I think that's going to make a big impact, too, on this roster. So looking for things to be turned around quite a bit.
That's Jamie Rivers and Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. In hour 2 today, we will have Blues Qs. So if you've got Blues-related questions, you can start to send those in now to the Air Comfort Service text line at 314-399-9646 or the Air Alliance Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. In 20 minutes, we will talk about Mizzou's loss to LSU, share some takeaways of what went wrong, some of the things that were unfortunate, and also whether or not there's more of a silver lining when it comes to Mizzou's loss on Saturday. But coming up next, NFL Pick'em Challenge. Did not go well for us this week, although we still got a chance to at least tie tonight. But biggest surprises from Week 5, the team that's in trouble moving forward, smoke and mirrors team of the week. That's all next on 101 ESPN.
Look, selling your home is, it's a massive deal for you and your family, and it can be quite stressful at times, and it adds to the stress when the market is all over the place. And you're probably wondering, is right now a good time to sell my home? Holiday season is lurking. Well, talking to Gloria Liu, the expert, she said, yes, right now is a great time to sell your home. Although the market can go up and down, she feels that it's going to be steady for quite a while. So that's why you choose Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Another thing Gloria has an advantage on is she has the buyers. And what that means is that she's got a database with thousands of buyers that are able to go to your listing, view your listing, and that creates a higher demand for your property, hopefully multiple offers, and a quick sale at that point, more money in your pocket as well. So please take my advice, give Gloria Liu a call, tell her that Jamie Rivers sent you. That number's 314-325-6888. Again, that's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues placed Callie Rosen, Nathan Walker, Mackenzie McEachern, and Malcolm Subban on waivers. All 4 cleared, and they'll begin the year in the AHL. The Blues kick off their season opener against the Stars on Thursday. We'll have all the action for you right here on 101 ESPN. Pre-game starting at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Over the weekend, Mizzou took on LSU and lost 49-39. We'll talk more about them in about 15 minutes. But tonight we have Monday Night Football to round up the NFL Week 5. Packers, Raiders, pregame starts right here on 101 ESPN at 6:30. We'll dive more into our NFL Pick'em Challenge coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Get ready to pick 'em. It's the Fastlane Football Pick'em Challenge on 101 ESPN.
Refreshed by Bud Light.
Well, you sure know how to pick 'em.
So we need the Packers to win tonight, and we've got the game for you. Raiders-Packers pregame starting at 6:30 right here on 101 ESPN. So Team Fastlane needs the Packers to win in order to get a tie, which we'd be happy with because we're down, unfortunately, by 2.
You know what the problem I have, Anthony, overall with this whole thing right now, apart from the obvious, is if we tie, the fact, and I hope this doesn't happen, but if we tie, the Rizzuto show is going to have some way to whine and complain about that, and they'll find some crazy way to make it so that like they get the week. And this is why I didn't want to agree to anything with them, because when you give them one smidge of wiggle room, then the whining just never stops. Now, it hasn't happened yet. So, but remember this conversation that if Green Bay wins, tomorrow they go on the air and find some way to defraud it. There's something happened, this, that, we're cheaters, we did something wrong, we're afraid of winning, we're afraid of this, and now they'll take the tie. It's just, you know what I'm saying? It's never ending.
First of all, Jamie, you're absolutely right. Yes, that's going to happen. That's a guarantee. They're going to whine about something. Nothing I can do about that. However, we did agree at Scott Air Force Base that once we made that handshake agreement, that deal about the tie, the Monday night and locking in the plays on Sunday, that's it.
But we never talked about ties. We never talked about it.
But I said that was it. That was the last rule change. There's nothing left.
All right.
We tied all last year, right?
Yeah, we tied a whole bunch of weeks last year.
So that's it. So if the Packers win tonight,
that was
tied.
okay, because, but now watch.
You're right. It's going to happen. So hopefully the Packers win tonight. We'll see how they reframe things in the morning. But for right now, I'm going to concentrate on hopefully the Packers win. Because if they don't, then it's a moot point. Marsh, here's the other thing I want to get out of the way. Marsh, you got to get 2 shots. Yes. Because speaking of whining, they're going to be whining big time down the hallway. And then I'm going to get nasty tweets about how he's a liar and this, that, and the other thing from their weirdos. And I love you, weirdos, but you're passionate and you think that Marsh hasn't gotten his punishment. He did.
I did.
So we haven't done the second. We haven't done the 2. You got 2 coming up.
Yes.
So when would you like to do that? So we get that scheduled.
We'll do it tomorrow.
We'll do it tomorrow. You want to do it in the office?
We'll do it in the
video
office.
And then we'll
video. We could even do it in here because people don't believe the video.
Okay. You want to do it live?
We can do it.
Let's do it live.
Blanket. We'll do it live.
I would prefer to do it live. That way everybody can just have a glass of shut that you know what.
Love it. We'll do that. So tomorrow, Marsh faces his punishment. Hopefully it's at least in a tie effort for us.
I hope so, Anthony.
There you go.
It'll make it feel better.
Yeah. There you go. For right now, Carrie and I led the week with 8. BT had 7. Jamie had 7. And Marsh had 5. Ugh. So there's nothing Marsh can do tonight. All right. Your biggest surprise, for better or worse, in week 5. Your biggest surprise.
Well, there were a couple. My biggest surprise, honestly, was the Patriots losing 34-0
At home.
at home to the Saints. Like, I have no crazy ideas that the Patriots are a Super Bowl contending team. Trust me on that. But 34-0 is embarrassing. I don't even know where to begin. Mac Jones is not good. He's not playing good right now anyways, but he literally has nobody to play with.
Offensive line stinks. They got no running game.
Nothing.
Wide receivers are meh.
Whoever put that roster together, probably
Belichick.
Bill, you really screwed up, like big time. You gave this quarterback that you already had question marks about, you gave him nothing to work with.
It's bad. It's bad. I agree with that one. I was not surprised by the 49ers taking it to the Cowboys. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked by the Jaguars beating the Bills. The thing that really surprised me as it unfolded was the absolute carelessness multiple weeks in a row now with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? That offense the Steelers' offense could not move the ball at all in the first three quarters. They were atrocious. And you get the ball on after a muffed punt, you get the ball right there. You can shut the crowd up after the Steelers had got back into it. Just execute a play. And Lamar, with as lazy of a throw as you're going to see into the end zone on a fade, which you deserve to get picked off in the end zone if you're running fades. That's my opinion. I hate the fade. But Lamar, with just a careless interception on that one, this team shoots itself in the foot constantly. They're ahead of the chains. They're constantly in 3rd and 3. But then they take a sack, or the run gets blown up, or they fumble it. They're constantly in the opponent's side of the field. Every week they're on that side of the field. Then they botch something. The Ravens are you cannot lose that game yesterday. I don't care it's a divisional game. I don't care it's the Steelers and the games are tight. I realize all that. The Pittsburgh Steelers had about four yards of total offense until the fourth quarter. And that is brutal. So that was my surprise.
Well, the Ravens, too, I think their wide receivers were confused that they weren't cornerbacks because they kept batting the ball down.
Zay Flowers had one. Big play in the first half. He drops one. Mark Andrews had a play that I know he can make in the end zone for a touchdown. He doesn't make it. The Ravens are right there and not executing at all. So that was my surprise. What about you, Marsh?
My surprise, I'm going to stick with that same game. I'm going to flip it over to the Steelers, though. I was surprised that Kenny Pickett was able to win that game.
Yeah, credit him. Absolutely.
For the Steelers, because they stayed in the game. I'll give them that. I'll give them credit. Granted, it was probably because the Ravens were terrible, but they stayed in the game.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting the Steelers to drive down the field and win that game. And I got to give credit to Kenny Pickett. Apparently, he checked on that play. I don't know how factual that is. I saw it on the interwebs. Mm-hmm. You saw Matt Canada. He was the only guy in the OC room who was not excited that they scored. Some people think it's because Kenny Pickett did not go with his play.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's probably why they scored.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how factual that is, but I saw that on the internet, and I thought it was funny. But listen to these numbers. Kenny Pickett is 4-1 against AFC North opponents.
Those are the games you got to win. You got to win your division games.
Absolutely. So,
did you see the video, by the way? Who's number 9 for the Steelers?
I don't know.
I forget. They're going to the locker room, and Matt Canada, it's like a behind-the-scenes camera thing.
Chris Boswell.
Yeah, Chris Boswell.
I saw that.
The kicker.
Matt Canada is like celebrating the win, and he literally, I believe, goes, "What are you so excited about?" Or something like that. It's not
because of you.
Not because of you, I can tell you that.
What? Isn't that an old video, though?
I don't know. Anthony, what the hell are you debunking my thing for?
I thought that Boswell did that like a year ago. I could be wrong. I thought that was from a while ago. Well, if that's the case, then
why would Matt Canada have not been with the team?
Maybe it wasn't.
I don't know. Whatever. You don't like my story, so
I think it is
from last year, wasn't it?
From something else.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But it is funny.
It's funny. It still happened,
It's still
Jamie.
funny nonetheless.
Yeah. Don't be angry.
I am.
Okay. All right, we're gonna continue this.
I said move on.
We're going to continue
Move on.
this. We got other questions that we haven't gotten to, but want to get into Mizzou's loss to LSU.
Oh, stay positive.
Jamie is not pleased with Mizzou. In fact, he took the loss personal. He'll tell you why next on 101 ESPN.
Hey, Are you looking to remodel that kitchen? Maybe you're looking at that bathroom and thinking, man, it's time I get some better countertops in here and take care of business. Well, if you're looking for either of those upgrades, give my friends over at E&B Granite a call for a no-obligation consultation. E&B Granite has been proudly providing the St. Louis area with exceptional customer service and products for over 20 years now. I myself am a customer over at E&B Granite, and the process was really easy, and the results were incredible. And all I did is I headed down to the warehouse/showroom at 6135 Manchester Avenue. I did not have a plan in my head, but I knew I wanted to remodel and upgrade the kitchen, starting with the countertops. So the sales representative, well, she showed me the options, and they've got granite, they've got quartz, they've got marble, they've got soapstone, and you can see the slab. The entire slab in the back, you can walk through and take your pick, and you know exactly what you're getting. And from there, the process was really easy. They measured everything perfectly. They took out all the old stuff, and then they installed it, and it looked incredible, and I've been thrilled ever since. And so will you if you visit my friends over at E&B Granite. And you can give them a call, too. That number is 314-645-9300. That's 314-645-9300, or you can visit them at enbgranite.com.
wheels in this offense.
One of the many heartbreaking calls from the weekend as Mizzou falls to LSU 49-39 in a game in which it's not like they blew it. They came out firing, though. They're up 22-7.
They blew it
early in the second quarter. But you can't, even watching it, though, Jamie, you knew that LSU was going to respond, right? Like, you're watching, it's 22-7. You're feeling great. You're rooting for Mizzou. But you knew LSU was going to respond, no?
At some point, yeah.
Okay.
Is your opportunity at that point to punch him back in the face.
Very true.
Just sit there and take it.
What was your overall takeaway?
So my overall takeaway was that Mizzou came out firing. They came out like a team that knew this was a huge game. That they came out like a team that it was a home game, their crowd, the energy like just flowing all around Columbia. And they took it to LSU. They had their foot on the gas. They played with almost like reckless abandon. Then they didn't. Then they just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
So they get that last score before halftime or whatnot. They get the ball back to begin the second quarter. You could just tell there was something different. The pace of their offense had slowed down. The play calling had changed to much more conservative play calling. What are we doing here? Like, the Doug Armstrong, you take the knife and jab it in and twist it and kill him. Like, that's what you had to do. That's all Eli Drinkwitz and the Mizzou Tigers had to do, is continue, just unleash the fury. No, they played conservative, like, let's not get carried away here. And then what happened? LSU put their foot on the gas. Why? Because they had nothing to lose. So almost like the first half where Mizzou kind of probably felt like we have nothing to lose because LSU is this big powerhouse. They're having a bad year, whatnot, but you know what? So what? LSU played the second half that way, and Mizzou was not able to match it. And then once the wheels started to fall off, boy, it fell off. That defense fell apart, too. Mm-hmm. And Marshy brought up a great point. That quarterback got some kind of an injury or a discomfort and wasn't really throwing the ball downfield. So now all you got to do is stack the box. Take away the run. Take away the quarterback sneaks. Take away the quarterback play, the runs that are designed for a quarterback.
Yeah.
They took the foot off the gas, and when the LSU Tigers went zooming past them, then they tried to find the gas again, and they didn't have enough gas there. Mm-hmm. That was my overall assessment of it. I feel like Mizzou had a great opportunity, and they blew it with that second half.
So I was kind of struggling to find, really nail down how I felt about this game because, one, you come in and you've got an LSU team that has 2 losses coming in and you're undefeated, but your wins you have stockpiled are against, non-conference, average opponent, average non-conference foes. And then Kansas State, and the Kansas State win was absolutely legit. Although, if you watched Kansas State on Friday night lose to Oklahoma State as an 11-point favorite, that win looks a little worse now too. But here's my overall takeaway on the Mizzou LSU game. I thought that there were more positives to come out of that game than negatives. The biggest one being that even though Mizzou was ranked 21st and LSU was ranked 23rd, they looked even. And this is an LSU team that was ranked in the top 10 coming into the season.
Until they played.
Well, they had a bad half against Florida State, dropped them back, but where did college football voters rank them though? They didn't drop them out of the top 25. They kept them in it. And then they lose to Ole Miss. But that was kind of a track meet in which they probably should have won that one. You looked even with the team that a lot of people felt was a playoff team coming into the year. Okay, that's number one. If you boil down, though, what happened on the fields, I think the biggest difference was LSU's offensive speed. It looked like a mismatch. I don't think that Mizzou defensively had the speed on the field to match up with LSU. So it's like you were pretty even, but when push came to shove, you still don't have the athletes yet to match up with what a team like LSU is going to bring to the table. And I think if they play that game 10 times, I think that the game kind of looks similar. And Jamie, to your point about the rushing ability, or Marsh bringing up their rushing ability, if you want to spy the QB, which looks like what Mizzou was doing, you better have somebody that can do it. That's a lot of open space for a guy like Daniels to work with. And I thought the play design on the one where he ran, they were right around midfield, and he had 49 yards for a touchdown? Maybe I gave him too much credit on that. Maybe it was a 35-yard run. When they released the guard, they knew that Mizzou wasn't blitzing. They were spying Daniels. So they released the guard to the spy, got in his face, and that's all Daniels needed. That's a creative play design by LSU based on what Mizzou did in the first half. So I think there's a coaching element there, too, where you're a step behind, too, in the second half. So you didn't have the athletes, and then they made the adjustments to beat you, as opposed to let's make the adjustments to figure out our limitations. I thought that was the biggest difference. Otherwise, the inverted snap, that was bad. You went from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 6. I was talking to Action Jackson about this, and he made a great point on this. 3rd and 1, you can handle that because you were running the ball well. Now you're 3rd and 6, and that's when Brady Cook got stripped. So there was a lot of small plays that add up to be big, and Mizzou had their chances. But I think the overall point was you had a team that was ranked 6th in the nation at one point, and you look pretty even. You get a couple more athletes, I think Eli's got this thing going in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're right. But nonetheless, I also look at it as you had that team, everything you just talked about, you had that team.
And you didn't win.
And you didn't put it didn't put it away.
Yeah.
You didn't finish what you could have done.
It's fair.
I feel like it's a Mizzou thing. Honestly, look back, of course, the 5-down game. Mm-hmm. That's a very unfortunate situation. By the way, I still don't know how the hell that happened.
Yeah. But I still don't think he was in.
Never mind if he was in or not.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen.
How did the players and the coaching staff from Mizzou not realize that he just spiked 4th down? Nobody even reacted.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, okay, I guess we're going to have another. What?
Good spike.
You could see the people in the crowd waving. Like, hey,
what are we doing?
That's it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like it's a Mizzou thing. Like in these big games, they show up last year when they had Georgia on the ropes. Now that's a little much. I know Georgia's going to come back and pound you. But
yeah, you did, though.
But you did.
Right
you have these moments, and you can't close it out. This is one of those moments where I felt like whether it was the players, the play calling, or the adjustments that weren't made, the coaching staff, all of it together combined is why you didn't hang on for the victory. Mm-hmm. But if Mizzou wants to take those steps in the SEC to where they're getting good recruiting classes, but they want to take the next step, they've got to win those games.
Yeah.
You were the team that's ranked the same as you, that were really highly ranked before, in and around where you are right now. Home field, you have to win that game.
Sure. And you were doing it in front of a lot of recruits, too.
Yeah.
There was a ton of recruits
that were committed
there.
To other schools, went for a visit, looking to flip those guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, you're at the doorstep there. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. What can we take away from Katie Wu's article on The Athletic? She had some interesting thoughts about the state of the clubhouse midway through the year. Plus, what about this postseason press conference?
Which one, Anthony?
Well, apparently the one Cardinals were going to have, then they nixed it.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Not a good look. We'll get into that next on 101 ESPN. 3:02, your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler with Jamie Rivers and Andrew Marsh. I'm Anthony Stalter. It's Fastlane. Appreciate everybody listening here on a Monday. Interesting article by Katie Wu, who actually followed through with an end-of-the-season recap, unlike the team she covers that decided to nix a postseason presser. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But this was the paragraph that Katie wrote that we all kind of said, whoa, okay. She said, I've been pretty transparent about this job. Being a major league beat writer is all I've ever wanted to do. That I get to do so covering the Cardinals. A franchise so rich in history with such high expectations is not a responsibility I take lightly. But there were some really tough days, especially in the early months of the year. I think back to the first half of the season, the terse post-game news conferences, the awkward silences lingering in the clubhouse after yet another loss, the careful phrasing of pointed questions that were going to elicit a harsh response regardless. I remember, Katie writes, how the team's tone gradually shifted from the initial shock in April to incomprehensible frustration in May before settling on defeated disappointment by the end of June. And after a particularly brutal road trip to Texas, one that landed me in hot waters, read the manager's office, multiple times, I recall thinking, wow, everybody here is miserable. I would expect the team to be miserable throughout the course of that. And Katie's just pointing out what she said.
No, she's giving a recap of how it went.
Yes, this is not well, what did you expect, Katie? No, I think she penned that perfectly.
Well, I think a lot of people, we think, oh, what'd you expect? But there are a lot of people that I guarantee were watching going, I wonder if they even care. I wonder if it even affects them.
Yeah.
They don't care. They're making their millions.
You're right.
Well, she's just kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit to go, yeah, they're making their millions. And yes, they didn't win and they didn't change things and it was ugly.
Yeah.
But they weren't happy about it.
So
Life
Jamie
was bad back here.
You're right. So, Jamie, this leads us perfectly into the postseason press conference that the Cardinals decided to cancel. So they're not going to have their postseason presser. Jamie, I think what Katie wrote, it ties in perfectly with the postseason presser. This team, for better or worse, was not prepared to have a losing season. Good, you shouldn't prepare to have one, but they had no idea when the wheels started to fall off. And they were on the highway, and all of a sudden they started hitting the rumble strip, and it's like, what? Wait, okay, try to veer back on. Nope, blown tire. They're off in a ditch. No idea how to get back on. And I wonder if this front office is so befuddled on even what to say following a historically bad season that they just ducked out. Either way, regardless of whether or not they're prepared or whether or not they're prepared moving forward, this is a bad look. You got to say something to your fan base. You got to say something to your stockholders that still supported, and I get it, they're supporting Waino, but still showed up that last weekend, that will be back next year despite their frustrations, despite their disappointments. That's just what Cardinals fans do. They're loyal, they're dedicated, they're passionate. You don't say anything to them? Why? Because you feel like you've already said it? Say it again. I think this is a terrible look. What about you?
Anthony, I couldn't agree more. I mean, when I heard the news of the press conference being postponed / canceled, they talk about, I guess they said something to the effect of they'll wait till after the World Series or something, that if they even do anything. What are we doing here? In a moment of crisis, so if you're a leader of an army or of a mayor of a village or whatever it is, right? In a time of crisis, your people need to feel calm, like that the leadership has got this.
Even if you don't.
Even if you don't. I mean, it makes no sense to me at all. If the thought is that, well, we've already talked about everything, and then to your point, do it again. Maybe expand a little more as to how this is really sitting terrible for you, watching other teams play in the postseason. Like, why would you not take the advantage or the moment to take advantage of the situation and say, hey, look, we understand how bad this season was. We know exactly what we need to do to get this back on the rails here. And it really stings. It makes us angry to a person that we're watching other teams play right now when we should be one of those teams. We failed. We didn't do it right. We didn't build the team right. We overlooked some things. That won't happen again. Questions.
Yeah.
Boom. And now the media's going to be, well, who are you targeting? And well,
Can't get into
obviously
that now.
we can't get into that now because there are a couple of guys that are still out there pitching right now that, boy, they'd look good in a Cardinal uniform, but we can't get into that right now. But that's, if you're asking me what our thought process is, we need to make sure that our rotation is a rotation the teams look at and are not wanting to face it. We need to make sure that our offense is an offense where there are no easy outs. We got to get Cardinals baseball not just back into the playoffs, but back to being prominent.
Yes.
It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Hey, Mo, call me. I'll do it for you. I'll even wear a bow tie, okay? I will. And I'll answer all the questions.
Careful with that, Mo. He'll show up in just a bow tie. So
It's possible, Anthony.
Just specify.
You know what? Distractions are good sometimes, okay? But
It's true.
my point is I don't have to be Cardinals front office. I don't have to be an owner. I don't have to be a player or manager. Anything to do with the Cardinals. I could go have the press conference right now and tell people what they need to hear and what they want to hear and identify what the problem was. Nobody in Cardinal Nation is foolish to look at that team last year and go, oh, it was just bad luck.
Right.
No, it wasn't. So why not? Why not?
Why hide from it?
Why hide? Why not just address it, meet it head on, try to rebuild some of that confidence?
We get a text from the 314. Hey, guys, I feel like Mo has made statements and then weeks later has backtracked on those statements. And I'm wondering if he is gun shy about saying something in a press conference and not holding up to that statement throughout the offseason. And then he's going to look bad again. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. So this goes back to, Jamie, what I told you in the office. I said, if I'm Mo, I'd rather be called a liar than incompetent. I would rather go out and say, we're going to add pitching, and if for some reason you don't add enough, and people say, well, you lied to us. You said you're going to add a bunch of pitching. Yeah, things change. As opposed to saying nothing, and then everybody, like our texter, it's a great text, everybody's starting to think, you don't know what you're doing. And maybe he doesn't right now. But I would rather be called a liar than incompetent. If those are my only two choices. Because remember, the fan base is going to be ticked no matter what. We in the media are going to be ticked no matter what. This is a horrible season.
Yep.
It's worse to me if you don't get up on the the table there and say this is unacceptable. And I love what you said. Lament the fact that this is brutal for us. This is awful watching these teams play right now in October.
Yeah, and look, even if John Mozeliak has had conflicting statements recently where he goes and says, we're going to get 3 starters, and he's like, well, it may not be 3, we're not sure. So what? Go back again and say, listen, here's the deal. If you're asking me about the semantics of me saying 3 and then maybe not 3, it's because right now everything's in play.
Yeah.
Everything. At the time, we literally had one guy that was part of the rotation. We had Michaelis. Everybody else was either a kid, a newbie, or injured. So at that time, I looked at our rotation and thought we absolutely need at least 3. Then as it went on, Zach Thompson stepped up a little bit. There's some promise. Maybe I know some things now about Steven Matz to where maybe he was healthier at the end of the season, but we didn't push it, but know that he's going to be healthy for spring training. So, Yeah. But make no mistake, as the Cardinals, we're going to be adding top-end pitching. We're going to go after the best pitching we can possibly get, and hopefully they like us too, and we have a marriage. Just say that. I just don't understand what's so complicated about it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're guaranteeing things. Honestly, Mo, when you said you're going to raise payroll, I thought it was a mistake too. Why do that? Just say, hey, we're going to spend.
Yeah.
We're going to spend. Not sure how much yet, but we're going to spend. Now,
You
said you're going to spend.
yourself.
Well, I did spend.
Yeah, right. Then you get in a tit for tat.
I know, but the point is be honest and open about the process right now, because people are not accustomed to seeing what they saw this year from the Cardinals. So again, confidence in government, if we're using just terms like that, is low.
Yeah.
You got to get the confidence back up amongst your people.
Yep. No question.
And you can't do that sitting in a corner.
Yeah, not saying anything. You're absolutely right. That is Jamie Rivers. I'm Anthony Stalter. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. We're going to Blues Q's coming up, so Blues-related questions coming up next. Again, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line, or if you want to try out our Air Alliance Team YouTube channel, you can follow us at 101 ESPN STL. Blues Q's next.
Looking for replacement windows. Now's the time to do it before it gets too cold out there. That's right. And my friends over at Window World, they are the best in the business. Heck, they're the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. And one thing that I know for sure about Window World is that their customer service is fantastic. They pride themselves on customer service and making sure you get exactly what you want and make sure that you're 100% satisfied with your service. Another thing I know about Window World is they use a double-strength glass that is not commonly found in replacement windows. Why does that matter? Well, the obvious thing is breakage. The next thing is efficiency. So when it's really cold outside or really hot outside, you don't have that leaking into your home because of super thin windows, and now you're paying extra money for no reason at all. Window World, they also back up those awesome windows with a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts, the glass breakage, and the labor. And don't forget, they are still offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So please don't wait another minute. If you're looking for windows, call Window World. That number is 314-993-1800. Again, that's 314-993-1800, or look them up at windowworld.com.
It's time for the Fast Lane's Blues Cues.
That's right. Time for some Blues Q's. Again, still time to get in some Blues-related questions. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Or hit us up on the Air Alliance Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL. What do you got, Marsh?
Yeah, real quick, the 636 wants to let us know that Steve, the original host of Blues Clues, turns 50 today.
Happy birthday, Steve.
You remember that guy?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. He was quite an exceptional little artist for just having that little notepad. Mm-hmm. Always amazed me. And he always took like the odd way of drawing something. You know, like he's the guy that would like draw the windows first and then the house.
Yeah.
Like what?
He had a different vision. That's Steve.
He
Absolutely.
Yeah, but he solved clues and solved mysteries and just saying.
He was a good pet owner.
Yeah,
Blue is taken care of very well.
no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So, happy birthday, Steve.
So from Blues Clues to Blues Cues from the 636, could it be that the Blues overperformed 2 years ago and the team is just a fringe wild card team at best?
How did they overperform 2 years ago? Like, riddle me that. Did they win the cup 2 years ago? No. Were they even the team that was in first place going in the bubble 2 years ago? No. So I don't know where they've overperformed, quite honestly.
Well, if you overperformed 2 years ago, then didn't they underperform last year then?
Well, they definitely underperformed last year.
I mean, it works both ways.
Yeah,
so you can't say they overperformed 2 years ago, then bring back a similar roster, and then they weren't good, and you're like, they stink. You gotta say they underperformed then.
Yeah. No, you're right. I don't have an answer to that. I don't believe that to be true.
You know, we're getting text messages about, guys, if you're being honest, it's an average team, or if you're being honest, it's a 500 team. Look, my opinion is they're going to they're a playoff team. I've never said they're going to win the Stanley Cup. I never said they're going to make a deep run. I think that the expectation should be, whether it is the last seed in the Western Conference or the top seed, they're a playoff team this year. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And I am being honest. I think they'll play better. I think that the roster a year ago we all thought was a playoff team. So now if you're saying, well, they're the same roster, they stunk last year. Okay, well, what happened from a year ago? It couldn't just be the way that the season unfolded. You wound up trading a bunch of guys that you were expecting to have at the start of the year. So, in other words, the variables change multiple times here. Given what they currently have on this roster, I think that they are a playoff team. I do not think that they're just merely a 500 team.
Yeah, I echo.
That's my honest opinion.
I echo what you're saying. And it's up to the players, too. So it's the forecasting and all that and what they're going to be. I mean, it's nothing. It's a prediction, which means nothing. So to anybody, whether they have the Blues ranked in the bottom five or the top five.
You're right to your opinion.
Until they play the games, you don't know. So that's where I'm leaving it. I see this team on a daily basis now. I definitely think they're a playoff team.
I don't want to speak for the city of St. Louis.
Oh, boy.
Don't do that.
Don't do
You
that.
know
So I
better
won't
than
do
that.
it. My personal opinion, I feel like maybe some fans who are fans of the Blues and the Cards saw what the Cards did this year. They did not change anything when it came to their starting pitching. I wonder if some fans feel the same way that it could happen since the Blues didn't really do anything at their defense.
Do you think some people are just pissed off, though, in general? Not even at the Blues.
Yeah.
They're just mad because the Blues and then the Cardinals both had losing seasons. And now
they're
they're just
frustrated.
angry.
Yeah, I do.
And I don't blame them.
I don't blame
because
them at
we all
all.
had high expectations for both these teams this previous season. So I can understand why people are frustrated. We'll just see how things play out. We'll find out on Thursday.
Yeah, baby.
Right here on 101 ESPN. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7.
Look at this kid.
Lone Star State.
Yeah.
What's that, baby?
From the 314, what does Callie Rosen have to be better at to stay in the NHL? Many fans like his game.
Yeah, I like his game, too, as a seventh defenseman. But you can't have him as a seventh defenseman right now. Here's what our fans need to realize, or people who are watching. If Callie Rosen was so sought after, he wouldn't be on a two-way deal with the St. Louis Blues. He wouldn't have just cleared waivers where you could pick him up for nothing. I like Callie Rosen. I think he's a solid seventh defenseman. He's a guy that when you have injuries, you put him into your lineup. And he can kind of move around and play a little bit of everything. But he doesn't excel at one thing in particular. If he did, he'd have the big contract. He'd have the multi-year deal. He would have multiple suitors for him. I speak this way because I was that guy. I was the guy that near the end of my career as I got older, I passed through waivers. Could have had me for free. They didn't want me. There's a reason. There's a reason. And so no matter how good you play as a 29-year-old depth defenseman, you're always expendable because there's younger players that teams don't want to part ways with yet or don't want to risk having to part ways with yet.
Sure.
So the cost certainty of this type of thing is, well, if Calle Rosen gets picked up, we still have 8 defensemen. If he doesn't, we have him available to us in the minors. So, again, I like Calle Rosen. He does a little bit of everything very well. He projects to be on any lineup on any team in the NHL as a 7th defenseman.
From the 636, Bennington and Hofer. Will this be like Bennington and Allen, Bennington and Husso, or Bennington and Grice? Because the dynamic was way different last year.
Yeah, it was an odd dynamic, for sure. I think this is more like probably a Bennington and Allen situation, but with Jake Allen or with Jordan Bennington playing the role of Jake Allen a little bit. You know, not where Jake gets his job taken from him, but where Jake Allen is the number one guy and Bennington is the young goalie trying to make his mark. Joel Hofer, watching him, I mean, he is a very big, very talented goalie. I don't think it's quite like Ville Husso type situation, but I believe the Blues have a great 1-2 punch in between the pipes. Look across the NHL. Teams are trying to get 2 goalies with the capabilities of Jordan Bennington and Joel Hofer. Some teams have it, some teams don't. I really like the combination. I think this is going to be beneficial to both goalies and obviously ultimately beneficial for the team.
From the 314, Jamie, who is our best face-off man? Do you feel that our centers line up with other teams? How do you see the centers taking face-offs on special teams?
Yeah, I think we got some pretty good face-off guys. You know, Robert Thomas has really evolved in the face-off dot. I think that Braden Shen, you know, he's a guy, too, you want out there. Kevin Hayes is a good face-off guy. Oscar Sundqvist is a good face-off player. I could see a situation where when the game's on the line and you have to secure the 1-goal lead where you'd have both Thomas and Sundqvist on the ice at the same time, or a combination of Thomas and Braden Shen so you get the left-handed shot, the right-handed shot, much like they used to do with Ryan O'Reilly and Robert Thomas. I think right now Robert Thomas is probably your go-to guy.
From the 314, who is Perunovic going to play with? How does Scandella look? I only saw him play 1 preseason game, and he looked pretty good. Then he blocked the shot off his leg/ankle, and my stomach dropped. Do you think he can stay healthy?
I hope so. I think that if nothing else, when he's been healthy, Marco Scandella has proved to be a pretty good commodity for the St. Louis Blues. Last year is the first thing that pops up for me is watching him play after coming back from being injured, and he really, you know, he helped that defensive core. He gave it a little boost. Then, unfortunately, he got injured again. So, to the texter's point, yeah, it's a struggle for Marco Scandella in recent years to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy, then he helps the Blues. If he can't, this is why you have that depth, so you can kind of move on even without a player.
Sticking with the defense, from the 618, who is that physical D-man who will make teams pay for sitting in front of our goalie?
Well, look, you got Robert Bortuzzo, who's a big physical guy, but he's not going to be in the lineup every night. As it sits right now, it doesn't look like he's playing in Dallas. That could change. We're several days ahead, but kind of reading the tea leaves on what the pairings are. Tyler Tucker is going to be out there, and if that's the case, then Tyler Tucker has to be that guy. And quite honestly, they all have to be that guy. Craig Berube, one of the first drills he ran today at practice was 2 forwards driving to the net front and the defenseman having to stop them from getting to the net front. Mm-hmm. So he's testing the forward and the defenseman at the same time. Challenging the forwards to get to the front of the net and establish body position. He's challenging the defenseman, get them out of the way.
Yeah.
So it's not just going to be one guy. Like Tyler Tucker can't play 60 minutes. Robert Bortuzzo can't play 60 minutes, so you better get some help somewhere else. There better be some guys with a little bit of jam to make sure net front presence isn't so welcome for the opposition.
All right, final one here should be a fun one. From the 660s, Jamie, did you have these team bonding trips in your playing days?
We did, but not like this. Like, towards the end of my career, we did a couple things. I do remember one time we did a retreat here at Scott Air Force Base, nonetheless, Anthony.
Nice.
We went there. Mike Kitchen was the head coach at that time with the Blues. My second tour of duty here with the Blues, pardon the pun. We headed out to Scott Air Force Base, and the hospitality was incredible. We got to do some team bonding stuff, and then we did a whole bunch of like the Army or the Air Force training with the cadets and the servicemen and women that were out there. It was pretty awesome. We enjoyed it, and then there was a night for sure where it was all the servicemen and women that were at the watering hole there, and we got to share some beers and some stories with them. It was a great experience. But early in my career, the team bonding trips were the first long road trip of the year.
Yeah.
Coaches would identify that, and let's say it's out to L.A. or Vancouver or one of those places. You'd go a couple days early and make sure that you have your team bonding and whatnot, and then let the season kind of get going from there. So that's kind of how it was for me in my career.
Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, I'm Anthony Stalter. It's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We've got Prophecies and sounded good at the time. That's next on 101 ESPN.
Gentlemen, are you currently using ED meds, and are you currently paying too much for them? First one, nobody cares if you're using them or you require them. What we do care about is that you're paying too much for those ED meds. The little blue pill, we know exactly what's going on there. Stop it. Don't do that. Visit the Medicine Shop in St. Charles. They are your destination for cheap ED meds. They got a generic called sildenafil, and you can get that for less than $2 a pill over there at the Medicine Shop. Of course, prescription is required, and you don't have to live close either to cash in on all the savings and all the excellent customer service, because the Medicine Shop in St. Charles, they offer free discreet shipping and delivery to your home or your workplace of any medicines that you might require. And with the hockey season right upon us here, I can tell you, I already use this service, but this is where it really pays off, is I don't have to be running to the pharmacy to try and get some medicines. They bring it to me. But if I do need the pharmacy, it's great to know that they have a full pharmacy over there in St. Charles, and it's not a chain either. So you're getting that quality customer service that you deserve. The pharmacy family, as I call them over there, will answer all of your questions, and I guarantee you they will take care of you. So please stop by, tell them Jamie Rivers sent you, say hi. They love hearing all that stuff. If you can't get there in person, get there online. Visit them at stcharles.pharmacy. That's stcharles.pharmacy.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues placed Callie Rosen, Nathan Walker, Mackenzie McEachern, and Malcolm Subban on waivers. All four of them cleared, and they'll begin the year in the AHL. The Blues will begin their season on Thursday as they take on the Dallas Stars. We'll have all the coverage for you right here on 101 ESPN. Thursday pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. Over the weekend, Mizzou took on LSU and lost by a final score of 49-39. We talked about that earlier. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the 101 mobile app. You can find it all there. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Tonight, we have Monday Night Football between the Packers and the Raiders. Pregame for that starts at 6:30. We have Prophecies and, well, sounded good at the time coming up next right here in the Fast Lane. I'm Andrew Marsh, and this Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
All right, time for Prophecies, i.e. things we got right last week when making our predictions. And sounded good at the time. Things we got wrong. Yeah. Marsh, you said I got a few I can rattle off. So would you like to start off with a prophecy? Let's just do one at a time here, all right? Okay. Would you like to start off with feeling good or criticizing ourselves? What would you like to go?
I would rather start off criticizing myself and then build myself back up.
Back up. I like that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So,
Marsh, what was one of your? It sounded good at the time.
Yeah, I said Kentucky would upset Georgia, and that absolutely did not happen. So we'll start off with that one being one of my. Well, it sounded good at the time. I don't even know if it sounded good at the time. In my head, it did.
Yeah.
We know those visions that I get. Sometimes they don't come true, or at least they do, but it takes a while, and I really have to, will it into existence with my mind.
We know that your visions, they don't come true, and then you paint a whole nother vision, and then you say that was the vision I was supposed to have.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Kentucky, not good.
Yeah, so I thought for sure that the Patriots and Mac Jones would have a bounce back after all the turmoil of the benching and the Bailey Zappi and who's going to be the quarterback and playing the Saints, who, quite honestly, was kind of an unassuming opponent. Meh, whatever. I thought, well, Uncle Bill's going to dial it up here. He's going to be ready to go. Mac Jones going to prove why he's a QB1.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know where that ended up. Mac Jones back on the bench again and shut out 34-0. Took that one right in the Liberty Balls.
Just a terrible home effort there.
Woof.
All right, sounded really good at the time, was in the Texas-Oklahoma Red River rivalry. I said Texas was going to pound them. I didn't understand why the line was only 4 or 5 at the time. It got bet down to 3.5, so obviously somebody knew what they were doing because they favored Oklahoma. I said Oklahoma wasn't impressive this year. I listed the opponents, went through that whole thing. Yeah, Texas lost out right now. They had every opportunity to win that. In fact, they scored a late touchdown, but could not stop Dylan Gabriel, who put on an absolute show. Credit to him. Credit to that kid. A lot of experience under his belt. And give Brent Venables, the head coach, a lot of credit because Texas steamrolled Oklahoma last year in that same matchup. So, yeah, that was my, it sounded good at the time. Marsh, you have another one?
That was my other one, Texas. Because we both said Oklahoma hasn't played anybody this year.
Look at their schedule.
They're going to lose.
I had another one. I had the Colts just running Jonathan Taylor into the ground until I found out that they offered him a multi-year deal, making a whole bunch of money. And then I was like, yep, that's they're probably going to slow play this one now.
They care about him now.
He had 5 carries or something for 13 yards.
Yeah. Zach Moss looked great.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony.
I'm just saying that,
But I thought
you didn't know.
I thought it was going to be we'll show him. He's going to get 30 carries today. Nope, he didn't even get 30 yards.
Sorry about that, Jamie.
Yep. Bad call.
I felt bad for this one. Not only did Mizzou lose outright, but we handed out Mizzou as a play and fade or follow plus 5.5.
We had it till the
pick six.
Yeah.
That is called a bad beat. 2, that's called a front door cover by LSU. So not only did Mizzou lose, but we also handed out Mizzou taking the points, and they lost on that one.
Yeah, our poor guy there in the FanDuel.
Yeah, fade or fall. Yeah. Not great. Not great at all. All right, do we have any more sounded good at the times? Marsh, I feel like you had a couple more.
When you look at the NFL slate, I could rattle off maybe 9 of them. Obviously, Minnesota. I don't even know if that sounded good at the time, really. I just had to roll with my guys. But
you didn't have to.
You don't have to.
I didn't.
I do it all the time. I say one thing and do something totally
different. He really does.
I like to stick with it, though. I like to stick with it.
It's kind of his thing.
That was a bad one. Houston losing to Atlanta. I won't even count that, though. They should have won that game. That was a good game. I thought Houston, for the most part, played well. Played good enough to win, but at the end of the day, they didn't. So
yeah,
I won't put that
Houston,
in.
I had Houston over Atlanta, too. I did not. When they scored when Houston scored the late touchdown to go up, I go, hey, Desmond Ridder, you've had a decent game. There's no way you take these guys down. And he methodically went right up the field and threw a great pass to Drake London that set him up for the field goal to win it. So that kid was trashed all week following the performance last week in London, and he showed up.
I will say, though, I took the Bills this week. I've been fading the Bills. They keep winning when I fade them. So sorry, Donnie Fandango.
Yeah.
I took the Bills this week, and they lost. So I'll throw that one in there, too.
All right. So some prophecies, some things that we got right.
I got Joe Burrow right.
You did get Joe Burrow. He looked good.
He looked good. He looked angry.
He looked so good, I go, okay. I've been hammering the Bengals. I've been living high in the hog saying fade the Bengals.
Well said.
He looked good, though. I'm like, maybe Cincinnati gets back in it here.
317 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw 1 pick. But
he looked spry, though, too. Like, he was avoiding sacks. He leaped over a defender one time. Like, that mobility looks like it's back.
And guess what? Jamar Chase was really open. Was he ever?
Just like, fine. I'm going to throw it to you 16 times today.
And Jamar Chase was like, good. I'm going to catch it 16 times.
Thank you.
But yeah, Joe Burrow was kind of my one where I thought, he can't be this bad. Even though I knew he was injured, I thought he was going to have a bounce back week. I thought he had to save their season.
Yeah.
Said they go 1-4, it's all over. Now at 2-3, it doesn't look horrible, especially when you're watching the Ravens play the way they did. I know.
Not great. One of the prophecies that I had was Georgia wouldn't only win, they'd destroy Kentucky. I said they would win by 2+ touchdowns. They did, so.
You got that, buddy.
I faded. I was on the opposite side of your guys'. Sounded good at the time. That was one of my prophecies. Other than that, I mean, I'm not going to claim, like the 49ers we all had, the 49ers we all loved. I don't want to claim that as a prophecy. I feel like everybody kind of sided with the Niners.
Yeah, but you know what? The only thing I'll say in our defense to that one is, did we really think it would be 42-10?
No, but I thought it had the capability of being that.
Yeah.
I thought the Niners would win convincingly. Maybe not 42-10.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
I did have one that I really was excited about.
What do you got, kid?
And out of the 5 correct picks I got this week for the NFL Pick'em Challenge,
yeah,
one of them was Zach Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, and the New York Jets.
There you go.
I picked them to win in a revenge spot for Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah.
And Russell Wilson did Russell Wilson things.
So that's what happened to me. They fall in my category of sounded good at the time.
Yeah.
I thought Mile High.
At home. I did the same thing.
The Nathaniel Hackett game.
Yeah.
Let's do it for Coach Payton because he just badmouthed this guy for no reason at all and made himself look like a bit of an ass at the same time. But no, we got his back.
Yeah.
The Jets said, no, not today. What we're going to do is Nathaniel Hackett, you're our fourth captain today of the game. That's what they did. That's what they did. Robert Saleh made him fourth captain. The whole team went freaking crazy, wanting to murder everybody for this guy. And then they gave him the game ball after.
Yeah. There you go. You did a terrible job here last year, but Sean Payton called you out for it. Now we're going to reward you.
Now we got your back, and they did.
They did, though. You're right.
Did you see what Robert Saleh said to Sean Payton when the two met up at midfield? Well, you can't. There's no audio to it, but if you read his lips, it looks like he says, "Stay humble."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he said your movie sucked.
He probably said that too. Anthony doesn't think that, though. It's one of his favorites.
Solid movie.
Yeah, but it's that moment right there.
Yeah.
It's your time.
Your movie sucks. Jamie, you also got the Colts over the Titans. That was your upset special.
It was my upset special.
Yep. Marsh and I whiffed. You had the Rams over the Eagles. I had the Texans over the Falcons. So those were our upset specials. Blowout special. Jamie, you had the Dolphins over the Giants. Marsh, you had the Lions over the Panthers. I'm just looking at this now. I had the Bills over the Jaguars. Whoops. Not only did they not blow them out, they didn't even win.
We screwed that up, though, by the way. Remember we talked about it? They had been in London.
Yeah.
They went through a whole week of being in the same spot. No craziness, no travel. We really, as a group, should have at least split on that game.
Josh Allen was just all about the coffee.
Yeah, he was.
It's like, I'm not really a coffee drinker. He's drinking it all day just to stay awake.
Just so he wouldn't screw up his sleep pattern.
Yeah, because they went over, they traveled, and then they stayed up and practiced.
Yeah.
So they could try to get whatever. They stunk. They weren't good. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Let's get back into our NFL Week 5 roundup here. So, which team is in trouble moving forward? Smoke and mirrors. Which QB is disappointed? Disappointed over the weekend. All that next on 101 ESPN.
Woods, we make wet basements dry and broken foundations strong. WoodsBasementSystems.com.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, and Anthony Stalter. Let's dive back into our Week 5 roundup. Which team is in trouble moving forward? The team that you saw yesterday that you're like, wow, you're in trouble. And of course, we're not talking about like the Patriots. We kind of knew they were in trouble moving forward. But a team that is at least a fringe contender, you're like, yep, you're in trouble.
Oh, man.
I got one.
Go ahead.
I got the one that I had in the Super Bowl. The Ravens.
Oh, God, yeah.
The Ravens.
Uh-huh.
I think to some degree, we have to have a little patience with the offense. It wasn't just going to flip over and then Lamar was going to have 300-yard games. There's a transition that has to happen. I get that. But they are careless with the football. They do not execute in the red zone. They do not execute when they get in opponent territory. They're constantly going back. Lamar takes too many sacks. The interception he threw yesterday was awful. They can run the ball sometimes. Like Justice Hill had a couple of good runs yesterday. Other than that, they're not running the ball well. They just are. They're still living on their talent. That's what they are. But they're in trouble. 10 points yesterday against a Pittsburgh team that is leave them dead or half dead. They're half dead when you walked into that stadium yesterday and you gave them life. And you gave Cincinnati life. We just got done talking about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow played very well yesterday. Looked healthy for the first time all year. So I think that's the team I looked at yesterday. Boy, you're in trouble.
Yeah, there's a couple teams, but, these teams are already kind of in trouble, and we kind of knew it. So if I'm looking for one that's kind of obscure that...
There's another one out there.
That should be in trouble, but their schedule won't let them be.
Interesting.
It's the Dallas Cowboys.
That's who I was thinking of.
Because when you dive into the Cowboys, they look not good. But when you look at their schedule, unfortunately, they've got a lot of games against lesser teams. They've got the Giants, they've got the Rams, the Panthers, the Commanders. Like, they've got enough teams to where they'll get a few wins, but they do have a stacked schedule on the back end where 3 of their last 4 games are Eagles, Bills, Dolphins. So we'll see how that goes. But watching that team... Watching Dak Prescott.
That was awful.
Not good, man. Not good.
You have the marquee game, the NFL Sunday Night Football, and I made it until early fourth quarter, but you could have turned it off at any point in the third. That's awful. So I put. Do you have one outside of the Ravens Cowboys?
I don't. I had 2 written down, and you guys both took mine. I mean, to me personally, looking at the way things are shaping out after Week 5, these are the 2 teams that you have to circle and have to have questions about whether or not they're real contenders for not only the Super Bowl, but just their division at this point.
Yeah, because the Eagles have taken care of business.
They have. And the Eagles have not, in my opinion, played to their capability.
You're right.
And once they start doing that,
look out.
They're going to look like the 49ers. And maybe they already do. Maybe they don't. I think the 49ers are just a little bit ahead of them in terms of a tier list. I'm sure we'll talk about that when we do the Stalter stack up later this week. But these 2 teams circle them because they're in trouble moving forward. But Jamie makes a good point about the Cowboys. Their schedule a little bit easier. Dak Prescott, what is going? He only completed 14 passes last night.
And they were outside of the dime he threw for the touchdown. They were all like it. He was forcing the ball. I mean, the one time he took a sack, or I don't know if it was a sack or he wound up throwing it away, but he was staring down CeeDee Lamb the entire time, then moved out of the pocket. It's almost like he felt the rush. He moved out of the pocket and still kept his eyes on CeeDee Lamb, who was blanketed on the play.
Yeah.
That I thought was best. So the other category we have here, I think Dallas falls into. What team is smoke and mirrors after Week 5? Dallas.
I would agree.
They beat the Giants, they beat the Jets, and they beat the Patriots. You have beaten some of the worst teams right now in the NFL, or teams that are incredibly limited, and you took advantage of them. And you should, but you lost on the road to the Cardinals, and really. You got pounded by Arizona, and then you go on the road in a game that was a true litmus test, and San Francisco took it to you.
Yep. You know who else falls in this category?
Who you got?
We just talked about them, the Ravens.
Yes.
The Ravens, for me, fall
You're
into
right.
this category as well. Look at the AFC North right now. The friggin' Pittsburgh Steelers are in first place at 3-2. The
Wow.
Ravens are right there with them, tied 3-2, but then it's 2-3 and 2-3. This is why I said it was so important for the Bengals and Joe Burrow to get a win.
Yeah.
They're right back in it now. They're right back in it because because the Baltimore Ravens, never mind the Steelers, because the Baltimore Ravens haven't lived up to expectations yet, and they haven't played their best football. Watching those guys bat down balls, although they're receivers and probably should have caught them, was problematic for me. So in the same breath as the Cowboys, again, comes the Ravens for me.
It's a good one.
I have a team, and I don't necessarily think they're smoke and mirrors, but I want to get your opinion on what you've seen the past 2 weeks. And I know this team just beat the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not trying to crap on them, but what have you seen from the Chiefs? 2 one-score games against 2 opponents that really aren't that great in the Jets and the Vikings.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I'm still I'm not concerned about Kansas City, but mostly because of their defense. I think their defense, everybody's kind of overlooking that side of the field. They've played very well. But Travis Kelce goes out, and that offense kind of sputters until Patrick Mahomes saves them. I think, Andy, I've mentioned this a lot. If you go back like 4 or 5 years ago when the Chiefs were struggling, I said, Andy Reid's got to run the ball. He's got a monster in Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even eclipse his, I think it was like 57.5 rushing yards that he needed if you took the under hit, but
He didn't run.
no, I think he had like 30-something yards.
Andy Reid, who's a genius. He's forgotten more football than I'll ever remember. But when it comes to Reid and his play calling, he knows he's got Mahomes. He wants to use him, but you don't have receivers that are legit wide receivers. You've got Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. They fall in kind of the similar category. And then you've got, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and then Travis Kelce. Now, Rashee Rice, the rookie, did catch the touchdown yesterday. Maybe they start to get him more involved. They up his snap count. But other than that, I mean, that Chiefs offense is still Travis Kelce, and him going down yesterday. Gritty performance, but that's concerning.
What I thought was interesting, and Pacheco scored a touchdown. They had a drive where they used him a lot, and he ended up getting rewarded going in the back of the end zone. But there was a few drives where Clyde Edwards-Helaire was out there. He would maybe get 1 or 2 yards. Jerick McKinnon was out there, and then they'd go a couple drives with not having Pacheco out on the field. I was like, why are they doing this?
Feed them.
Just
Sometimes it's going to be
the ball.
the Dolphins are a perfect example of this. Sometimes it's going to be a Devon Achane game or a Raheem Mostert game.
Man, he's good.
He's really good. That's all they needed, right? Was more speed on that field. Turns out they didn't need Dalvin Cook. That was a good non-sign for them. But, sometimes it's going to be one of the running backs to take over, not necessarily Tyreek Hill. If Tyreek Hill's blanketed, hand the ball off. So I think the Chiefs are kind of in that category. You're like, just let Pacheco go. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. We've got the Gauntlet next.
Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter with you here, and I want to talk to you about our friends over at Mentality. And the reason I want to talk about Mentality is because they have changed our lives in a big way. And fellas, if you're walking around right now and you just don't feel like yourself, whether you're tired, maybe you're frustrated, maybe you're feeling irritable, maybe your sexual drive has taken a massive dip, go see our friends over at Mentality. The board-certified physicians are going to sit down, talk to you, find out what's going on. They're going to offer some solutions. Then they do a full blood panel. And, Anthony, as you know, the blood panel, it doesn't lie.
Well, Jamie, when it comes to, being a guy, sometimes you just don't want to you don't want to admit something. You don't want to say, hey, I don't want to admit to somebody that I'm not feeling that great, or I'll just deal with it. It's fine. But then you get to a point where you get run down. You don't have any energy. You don't feel like you can complete tasks throughout the course of a weekend without reaching for the Advil or whatever, and you're just dragged down. If this sounds like you, do what Jamie and I did. Go down to Mentality, talk to their experts. They're fantastic. They're accommodating. They're nice. They'll walk you through everything, and then they'll get you on a program. And when they get you on a program, you follow it, and the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, and it's covered by most insurance companies. So please go visit them. Tell them that we sent you in. If not, visit them online at lowtusa.com. Again, that's our friends at Mentality at lowtusa.com.
Warriors, 4 categories, 1 challenger. Can you master the gauntlet?
Brought to you by Master, your hometown source for business communications for more than 30 years. Visit masstour.com.
Your time check is brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. If you're watching via our Air Alliance Team YouTube channel at 101 ESPN STL, you're seeing our brand new wheel. We were gifted the wheel. Marsh put it together today, and we've got some new categories too, guys. At least maybe not categories, but we've got some different options. So baseball's on a couple of times. Random is on the wheel a couple of times. Hockey's on the wheel a couple of times. Football, the same. But do we add? I thought we added new categories. Did you skip that? Oh, no, I see it now. So if it lands on Fast Lane Picks, that means we get to choose the category.
Camera's drifting right now on the YouTube feed.
It doesn't know what to.
It's got ADD.
It doesn't know what to look at.
It fits in perfect.
Yeah. Is there another category? Did I miss one, Marsh? Are we good?
Yeah, so we have hockey, football,
right,
random, baseball, the normal 4, and then there are 2 slots on there, like we just talked about, Fast Lane Picks. So
there you have it.
You covered everything.
Okay, perfect. Let's welcome in John. What's up, John?
Not much. Just got home from work, guys.
All right. Well, congratulations on
about
that.
The new categories?
John. Yeah, John.
I wasn't listening. I was trying to figure out the camera thing.
You're doing great, Jamie.
All right.
So, John, the only thing that's different is we just added a category of Fast Lane Picks. So that means you still choose the contestant, but if it winds up on one of those Fast Lane Picks, then we get to choose the category. All right.
That sounds fine.
Well,
Okay.
there's a Fast Lane pick and there's a contestant pick. Isn't there, Marshy?
No.
No.
Okay. I made that
Yeah,
up. I made it up.
I made it up. All right, John, who you picking today?
Let's go Jamie, please.
All right, thank goodness, because this wheel's got me perplexed.
Jamie,
Yes.
if it lands on Fast Lane Picks,
Yeah.
what category would you like? Because he's going to be in the cone of silence if it winds up.
Oh, that's right. Well, let's go with the bread and butter. Hockey, baby.
Okay, so if it lands on Fast Lane Picks, Jamie's going with hockey.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so
Jamie,
I got to get out of here, right?
cone of silence.
Okay.
John, tell
Good luck, John.
Marsh to spin that wheel.
All right, Marshy, spin that wheel.
All right, so Marsh is going to spin it. We still got
Why
the.
do I have a feeling this is going to be hockey?
And we'll see. So Marsh actually has got to use the audio. Did it just break off?
Yeah, bro.
So our new wheel's already broke, but let's see here. It's still going too. It looks like
Baseball.
actually it went to football. It's still going. Okay, looks like it landed in football. So the new wheel also chose football for Jamie, like the old wheel has been doing. So it is football again. John, how do you feel about that?
Well, considering my fifth cousin is Jared Goff, let's keep our fingers crossed.
Your fifth cousin is Jared Goff. Jamie's going to be excited to hear that. Then
I don't think Jared knows that, but my last name is Goff. So
Oh, okay, all right. Well,
there you go. There's the connection.
Jamie's fifth cousin is Phillip Rivers. So I
Even
love
better.
it. All right, John, you're going to get 4 questions. All of them are worth 2 points. Unless you ask for the options, then they're worth 1 point. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, here we go. Question number 1, John. Name the only winless team in the NFL. Name the only winless team in the NFL.
I'm going to go options on that, please.
Broncos, Patriots, Panthers.
Son of a gun. Let's go Panthers. Final answer.
Question number 2. In their franchise history, who is the all-time leading rusher for the Chargers?
Oh, options, please.
Is it LaDainian Tomlinson, Austin Eckler, or Melvin Gordon?
LT, please. Final answer.
Question 3, John. The Bills have had 2 Hall of Fame running backs in their franchise history. O.J. Simpson and which other running back?
Let's go with the options, please.
Thurman Thomas, Fred Jackson, or Joe Cribbs?
Thurman Thomas. Final answer.
And question number 4. The last time the Giants won the Super Bowl in 2011, who was their starting running back?
I was going to say Jared Goff, but options, please.
Was it Peyton Hillis, Ahmad Bradshaw, or Rashad Jennings?
Bradshaw. Final answer.
Okay, well, welcome back, Jamie. How you feeling, John?
Not too good.
Okay. We'll see what happens here with Jamie.
By the way, the 636 says should definitely have the contestant pick. Already not a fan of the wheel.
Sure, should have the contestant pick.
Oh,
what?
now we got people mad at the new wheel?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
It's not me.
I know. I didn't blame you.
Here's the deal. We have a dry erase marker. We could put the contestant pick.
Okay,
on the
well,
wheel.
we'll do
What
that.
do we
We'll
have
do
a
that for
fast
tomorrow.
lane pick, and then what else? That's the only one?
We'll do 1 fast lane picks, 1 listener picks. Okay.
There we go. We don't want to cancel the gauntlet like last time.
Is everybody
so
happy now?
I'm happy.
Who's texting in? Moon or Rafe or who's texting in? Riz?
I don't know.
Man,
The people have spoken. We'll change it.
Jamie. As you can see from the wheel, the old wheel used to spin football for you a lot. The new wheel
It
spun you
listens.
football. Yep.
You know what, Anthony? I love football.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Question 1: Name the only winless team in the NFL.
Carolina Panthers. Final answer.
Question number 2. In their franchise history, who is the all-time leading rusher for the Chargers?
Ooh. It's got to be LT. No? Chargers. Danian Tomlin. Like, who the hell is better than him? I'm trying to think, Anthony. Finkel and Einhorn and Finkel. I'm not going to overthink it. Let Danian Tomlinson.
Cool, you're up.
Cool. All right, question 3, Jamie. The Bills have had 2 Hall of Fame running backs in their franchise history. O.J. Simpson and which other running back?
Thurman Thomas. Final answer.
Question number 4. The last time the Giants won the Super Bowl in 2011, who was their starting running back?
That's a really good question. Wow. Optionless up until this point. I know I'll probably kick myself. Give me the options, please.
Options are Peyton Hillis, Ahmad Bradshaw, or Rashad Jennings.
Oh, wow. In 2011, Jennings, Bradshaw, Jennings. Starting running back. RB1, huh? I want to say Bradshaw, but Jennings popped into my head first. I'll go with Jennings. Final answer.
All right, let's go over these. John versus Jamie, category football. We'll start there. The last time the Giants won the Super Bowl in 2011, who was their starting running back? John, you went with Ahmad Bradshaw. Jamie, you went with Rashad Jennings. Correct answer is...
It's Ahmad Bradshaw.
John did need the options, though, so John takes a 1-0 lead over Jamie. Name the only winless team in the NFL. John, you said Panthers. Jamie, you said Panthers. Correct answer is...
It is the Panthers.
But Jamie didn't need the options, so we have a 2-2 tie with 2 questions remaining. In their franchise history, who was the all-time leading rusher for the Chargers? John, you went with LaDainian Tomlinson. Jamie, you said, who else is there? It's got to be LT. It's got to be LaDainian Tomlinson. Natron Means somewhere is just upset with you after.
Not that upset. He wasn't.
No, probably not. No, he knew. Correct answer is...
It is LT.
John also needed the options for that one, so Jamie with a 1-point lead. The Bills have had 2 Hall of Fame running backs in their franchise history. O.J. Simpson and which other running back? John, you said Thurman Thomas. Jamie, you said Thurman Thomas. Correct answer is...
Thurman Thomas.
Jamie did not need the options. John did need the options. John. Jamie put on a clinic there. John, you got every question right, but you needed to trust yourself a little bit more. You lose 6-4 today.
I tell you what, people aren't kidding when they say it's 100 times harder on the phone, because after that I was like, I didn't even need any of those damn options.
No, you didn't. Looking at your answers. John, thanks for playing, and thanks for listening.
Thanks, fellas.
Take care, John.
You too. Bye.
Nice job there, Jamie. Yeah, you knew, right away. Boom, boom, boom.
I went against my gut, too, on the Ahmad Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Man.
You did well. 6 points. 6 points out of the possible 8. So nice job. Jamie wins the gauntlet today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we'll add the listener picks to the wheel.
By the way, we got a text from the 573. 1 slot for the fans, 1 slot for the fast lane. Seems like the ultimate compromise. Great job, fellas.
I'm fine with it. I actually thought that's what we did do. So when I was looking at the wheel, that's why there's some confusion. I thought we did add a listener.
We do have another text, by the way.
I believe that. I thought that was the strategy.
That's what I thought, yeah.
This one's interesting. From the 661, I think it needs to be a Mike Ryder's music trivia instead of listener or fast lane pick. Call it Ryder's Picks. There, solved.
We'll workshop that. Tomorrow we'll go with the listener. Add it to the wheel. But, yeah, we'll give it some thought. All right, it's Fastlane on 101 at ESPN. So earlier we were talking about the canceled or postponed postseason presser for the Cardinals. And one of the comments that we made was they've never been in this spot before, this current group with the front office. Should we give Mo any sort of grace heading into the offseason? No. That's next on 101 ESPN. So earlier in the show, Jamie and I had a similar opinion on the Cardinals canceling their postseason press conference. We both said bad look for the team, bad look for the front office. You got to say it. You got to come out and say it. Not a great year. We need to do better. Even if you've already said it before, and they have to some degree. Ollie Marmol has said it. Mo has said it. You still have your postseason press conference, and you tell your fans that this was nowhere near good enough, and we're going to fix it. And then you face the media, and you do that. It's just procedural. Like you said, Jamie, the village is on fire. Mm-hmm. You need your leadership group to say, hey, we're going to put this out, and then we're going to rebuild. And we're going to be better than ever. Even if you don't have any idea how to contain the fire, you still say it.
Pretend. It's
part of being a leader. So for them to kind of duck out, maybe they've got good reasons for it. I don't know. Maybe they're going to do it next week, and we just don't, we completely overblew this. If we did, then we'll call ourselves idiots. And look, you guys already know we're idiots. So
yeah, fair enough.
But for now, it looks bad. The other comment I said, though, Jamie, was they've never been in this spot before. Mo has never been in this spot. The DeWitts have never been in this spot. So far, Ollie's never been in this spot. Historically, bad season. Franchise, horrible season. Should we give Mo any sort of grace heading into the offseason? Give him a little bit of, all right, this is the first time you're seeing. I don't mean grace in that you can screw this up.
Yeah.
I just mean, should we give him a little bit of leeway, like, all right, you don't know what you're doing because you've never been here before. We won't worry about what you say, but we are watching what you do.
Yeah, I think when you word it like that, yes. I mean, you can't be critical of the guy without at least letting him first try to fix the problem that, of course, he made.
Yeah.
He did. That's fine. So did Doug Armstrong. And everybody allowed Doug Armstrong to go about his business and make trades and acquire players and sign free agents and try to retool this team on the fly. So I think, if nothing else, we owe John Mozeliak the same courtesy, if you'll call it that. He hasn't had an offseason yet. He had a trade deadline. And what did he do at the trade deadline?
He had a pitching and apparently some pretty good bats.
Yeah. So he added things that he felt the club needed, and he got rid of contracts that he knew he wouldn't be able to retain. Mm-hmm. So he did the exact same thing his Army did as far as a trade deadline is concerned.
Right.
Now let's see what the offseason looks like. It is obvious as to what the major needs are for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's pitching. So let's see what Mo does. Let's see what he's able to do before you vote him off the island. Mm-hmm. This is a very unique situation for the Cardinals. I think it's only the second worst year ever in franchise history.
Is that it?
I think. But it's certainly the worst year that John Mozeliak and the DeWitts have had as an ownership group and part of the management / scouting, everything that Mo was for this team. This is the worst year they've had. Mm-hmm. So let's see if he can fix it before we get completely furious at the guy.
Yeah.
So I think we owe him a chance to fix it. Now, if he doesn't fix it, if we come out of spring training and 15, 20 games into the season we have the same problems, then you got to make a change.
Yeah.
You got to make a change. Something's got to be different.
Lisa left us a mic drop on this topic as the Cardinals head into offseason, knowing that, look, you got to spend some money, like Jamie just said.
Hey, guys. You're asking about what's it say to the people like me that have regular jobs and spend my money to watch that team play. What they're saying to me is, screw you. We're going to do whatever we want. We really don't care what you think. And I don't know if they saw, but I turned down tickets this year. I turned down tickets because I don't have to go watch it. And I'm just one fan, but I'm a pretty good fan. So it's kind of just sad to me now that they are so arrogant. Just the arrogance is unreal. So guess what? I don't have to pay next year. I'll go opening day, but I don't have to pay to watch it. I don't have to pay to watch sloppy, we don't give a damn team. And it's just really sad. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so those are great mic drop from Lisa. What she said is why we often remind listeners that get upset with us for not asking certain questions or not, quote unquote, holding Mo in the front office accountable. What guys like Jamie and I say will not impact the team. I guarantee it. They don't care. You, like Lisa, the ticket buying public, you have more power than Jamie and I do with our microphones. Because if you don't show up, that sends a message. You line the pockets of everyone at Busch Stadium. Without you and your interest, there is no team. Jamie and I can say, and we have, Mo didn't do this, Mo didn't do that. I would have done it differently. We do that. It doesn't matter. What matters is a bunch of empty red seats throughout the majority of the season because you're not satisfied, nor should you be. So you can keep saying, you got to hold an account. You got to ask this question. You got to ask him. Mo's on. I don't know if we'll get Mo on again, but.
Why wouldn't he talk to us?
I don't know. But if Mo were to ever come on, well, you didn't ask that question. Realize it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What you do matters. So Lisa's saying, I turned down tickets this year. That makes more of an impact than Jamie and I saying all we need to say for 4 hours a day. Doesn't matter.
It does, but I'm going to go back to my original stance on this. And I've been very, very crystal clear on my evaluation of how things went this year with the Cardinals. It was unacceptable. Mm-hmm. You had a chance 2 off seasons, maybe 3 off seasons in a row to address what the inevitable was coming down the line here. You didn't. But I'm also going to stand by the fact that I think that now that it's happened, now that the floor fell out, and you're sitting there trying to figure out what the hell you're going to do, I think it's only fair that Mo has a chance to do that, along with Michael Gersh, Ollie Marmol, the DeWitt family. They have I hope they're given every opportunity to make it right, to rebuild what they've had here for so long. Mm-hmm. That being said, if they don't, then to your point and to Lisa's point, then don't go.
Yeah.
Don't give them your money.
Yeah.
It's the only way to truly make a difference.
If you're upset by the lack of activity this offseason or not, you don't support them or support them from afar. I know it's tough because you're a Cardinals fan and it's sports and it's entertainment. It's something you look forward to. I get that. But again, if you really are upset, you really want to make a difference, that's how you make a difference. Narrative or Reality is next in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Went to the Missouri Athletic Club today, as I do each and every day throughout the week. I love it. I love going down there. I love getting my workout in. I use their business center a lot, too. I'll head upstairs, and a lot of times I get something to eat, and I enjoy it. I enjoy talking to the club members, too. I was talking to a club member today. He's having the girl. They have their second child coming, and getting to know what he does, and I was sharing my experience and all that. It's a great environment. So when it comes to Missouri Athletic Club, yeah, it's a gym, and yes, it's an opportunity. They've got various clubs within the club, whether you're looking at networking or all that stuff. Sure, but getting to know the club members and just being a part of the environment, man, it's awesome. That's my MAC, Missouri Athletic Club.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Blues placed Callie Rosen, Nathan Walker, Mackenzie McEachern, and Malcolm Subban on waivers. All four of those guys cleared. They'll begin the year in the AHL, and the Blues will begin their season against the Dallas Stars on Thursday. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7. You can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Over the weekend, Mizzou took on LSU. They lost by a final score of 49-39. We talked about them earlier in the show. If you missed anything, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. And tonight, Monday Night Football, it's the Packers and the Raiders. Pregame starts at 6:30. You can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your roads and shop 24/7 at Londoff.com and LondoffAutoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
In about 10 minutes, we've got our Sports Six-Pack. So if you want to send us a question, great. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. Right now, we have narrative reality. What do you got, Marsh?
All right, narrative or reality. The Baltimore Ravens' issues lie on their coaching and not on Lamar Jackson.
I think that's a narrative. I think Lamar Jackson has to bear some responsibility for what's going on here. Now, the drop passes was one thing where he's hitting his receivers and they're just refusing to catch him.
They're the third highest team in drop passes.
Yeah, they must not like him. But I don't know. I feel like the coaching was the excuse before. The OC was the excuse before. And now who do you blame? But you blame the new OC? It's his fault too? Like at some point, some of the blame has to go to Lamar.
I think that it's a narrative. It's not just Lamar, though. It's the team. It's the offense specifically, because the defense has played pretty well each and every week. I mean, yesterday they were on the field a lot, and they did everything possible to win that game. They really let down at the end. It was one drive that got him, but it was only because the offense put him in that spot. It's not just Lamar. The interception he threw in the end zone yesterday was atrocious. But you have drop passes by the receivers. Yesterday, Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown. It was a tougher play, but one that he can make. Zay Flowers dropped one. Odell Beckham Jr., I don't know what kind of route he was running on the fade there. Stop trying to give...
He doesn't either.
Stop trying to force feed Odell. Like everybody, Odell, they're over the top now. Why? He hadn't been good in 3 years now.
Super Bowl champion, Anthony.
The execution has been the problem, and that, to me, I think is more on the players at this point, specifically offensively. So I'm going to say narrative.
Is Lamar a player?
Lamar is within it.
Is he a player?
Just focusing on Lamar,
You
though,
said the
I
blame's
think
on
is
the
wrong.
players. Is he a player?
Yeah.
It's his fault.
Okay.
That's how I get there, okay?
All right.
All right, guys.
Jamie's like, I'll get there.
Narrative or reality, Louisville is a dark horse to be in the college football playoff.
What?
No, that's a narrative.
Wait, what?
It's an impressive performance against Notre Dame, but they don't have enough.
Okay. It was an impressive performance, but that's a stretch, man. That's a stretch.
No, there's no way. Georgia and Michigan have started to fire on all cylinders. Ohio State is starting to fire on all cylinders. Florida State remains undefeated. 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 I just made that word.
Here in the fast lane.
Undefeated. Oklahoma, did we not see what they just did to Texas in the Red River rivalry? Penn State's undefeated. Washington, I think, is rated too low. There's no way Louisville goes from 14 all the way up. No chance. They got Pittsburgh, Duke, Virginia. Their schedule is kind of light, but who have they, besides Notre Dame, who have they beaten?
Yeah, but their schedule being light actually works against them.
Exactly. Yes.
Because who the hell takes that seriously? You know, oh, you went undefeated, but oh well, you know, whatever.
No chance. Narrative.
Narrative or reality? Brandon Saad will be a big reason why the Blues are successful or not.
That's narrative. Brandon Saad is exactly who you thought he was going to be every single season. I mean, if you just said, hey, pick out a player that's going to do the exact same thing every single year, it's Brandon Saad. And that's not even being insulting. That's kind of being complimentary because
You know what you're getting.
he's consistently a 20-goal scorer in the NHL. He's consistently your second or third line left winger. He's your net front presence on the power play. Like, you know what you're going to get. Do I think he can score 30 this year? No. Do I think he's going to score 10? No. He's going to get right there at 20, somewhere in the 20-goal range. So I'm sorry, that's a narrative. If your season is hanging on the balance of Brandon Saad this year, then not that you constructed your roster poorly, but you don't have enough impact players then.
Agreed. Yeah, no, well said.
Narrative or reality? There is a disconnect between ownership and the front office for your St. Louis Cardinals.
I say narrative. I think they're on the exact same page.
I think it's a narrative too. I think they know. The issue is so obvious this year with the pitching staff that I don't think there can be any sort of disagreement. The only thing, Marsh, I guess to the spirit of the question is whether or not the ownership realizes that it has to spend pretty big in order to right the ship here. But the ownership group is not stupid. They know they got to get multiple pitchers, and that's going to cost. So I'm going to say narrative. I think they're on the same page of what they need to do.
They are. I think that where there might be a disconnect is between the manager and the front office, or the manager and the ownership. I don't know that to be true, but if there is a disconnect amongst the group, it might be there because the manager always wants to spend more money, always wants better players.
Sure.
So the struggle is always between the coach or the manager and the president or ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Narrative or reality? If Dak Prescott was on the 49ers, the outcome of last night's game would be the same.
Wow. I would say that's the reality.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. You think Dak Prescott, under center for the 49ers, does exactly what Brock Purdy did last night?
I am such a big believer in Kyle Shanahan, who schooled Dan Quinn again. That yes.
I completely disagree with
I
you.
realize we're all down on Dak Prescott. Let's not put him in the Mac Jones category, okay?
Why not?
Let's not put him.
What has Dak Prescott ever done? For real? What has he ever?
He's won a playoff game. He's won multiple playoff games.
But what the Cowboys teams that he's been given at times were like should have been way better, and at times they were less than good because of him. No, I'm not there with you.
You think Mac Jones on the same level as Dak Prescott?
No, I don't think that. I mean, that's a stretch. I mean, that's you're picking an absolute polar opposite right now.
That's my point. Let's not put him in the trash category.
But I'm not ready to. I'm sorry. I don't think Brock Purdy gets enough credit for what he's doing with the 49ers.
Now you don't.
I don't.
You were down on Brock Purdy all offseason. I kept saying,
wasn't.
this guy's legit. This guy's legit.
I
and you're
said
like,
he was
nah,
hurt.
I don't think so.
That's crap.
Nah, I don't think
That's
so.
a load of crap.
That's what you sounded like.
No, it's not. Maybe that's how I sounded, but that's not what I said. I said this guy's got a hurt elbow. Who knows what this guy is? Is he really what he showed, or is he not? We'll find out. No different than probably 90% of people watching football across the country. But when I watch Brock Purdy operate with this offense, he's got a lot of mouths to feed. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of star players. Oh, he's got all these star players. Guess what? It's even harder for a young quarterback at times to keep all of them happy. It's even harder to play well with that pressure on you. I'm sorry. I don't think Dak Prescott would have the same success in San Fran. I don't know if his decision-making process is as good as Brock Purdy is.
Would Dak get the same O-line? Would Dak get the same defense?
It's the same
Would Dak
thing.
get the
He
same
just switched
skill
jerseys.
positions? Exactly. So he'd get all of that.
I couldn't disagree
The
more.
question was, would last night's result be the same? I think it would. I think the 49ers are that much better than the Dallas Cowboys.
Would the result be the same on the scoreboard, or the result is a win?
I think the game would be lopsided. Would it be exactly 42-10 or whatever it was? I don't know. But I think it would be lopsided. And I think people would be turning it off in the fourth quarter.
No,
That's how good I think the 49ers are.
I just disagree with you.
Last one here, gentlemen. Narrative or reality? From what we've seen so far, the Texas Rangers are the favorite to win the World Series.
Based on what we've seen so far.
It has to be a reality based on what we've seen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they haven't lost.
They've been dominant.
Yeah. So, yes, reality.
Scherzer apparently will be back for the CS.
ALCS?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what version you're getting of him, but if he's healthy and he's able to do what he can do, I mean, that's...
I mean, the Phillies have looked impressive too, but they obviously had the easier first round opponent. But yeah, based on how everything has played out so far, yeah, I would say the Rangers should be favored. I mean, they're not, but they should be probably. All right, that's Narrative Reality. Sports 6 Beckett is next. Again, if you got a question, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Send in questions. We'll do that here.
time for the Fast Lane to answer your sports questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
Asking me all these weird questions.
Answer the question.
Answer the question.
Answer me!
The Sports Six-Pack is refreshed by Maggie O'Brien's, your go-to Irish pub in St. Louis for over 42 years.
All right, time for the Sports Six-Pack here in the Fast Lane on 101 to ESPN. What do you got, Marsh?
All right, gentlemen, from the 314, we all saw what happened to the Miami Hurricanes this weekend. What is one of the worst coaching decisions you've seen in sports?
That was one of them, by far.
That was horrible.
That was absolutely, completely avoidable. And for him to not take a knee, take two knees and secure a win for his players was just asinine. It was awful. Now, the Miami players should not have allowed Georgia Tech to go 22 seconds down the field like that, but they shouldn't have been in that spot. So, yeah, that was one of the worst ones. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch, but I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can't think of like really horrible coaching decisions like that would measure up.
Yeah, man, I would love to dive into this. Like, I almost revisit it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that, Marshy? Why don't we bank this question and give us a chance to kind of pull up some things to jar our memories? Because I guarantee there's a whole bunch of coaching decisions that I can't think of right now. And there's things that I'd like to get into.
There's one that I have off the top of my head. It's Josh McDaniels. No, it wasn't Josh McDaniels. It was when the Raiders elected to, maybe it was him, when they elected to take a timeout, which sent the, it was Brandon Staley. Brandon Staley takes the timeout. The Raiders kick the field goal and they end up going to the playoffs.
A couple of years ago. Yeah. Yep.
That was it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Where if they just tied, they would have both made the playoffs and eliminated the Steelers.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good one.
Sorry, Josh McDaniels, but you were included in that. That side swipe, I guess.
Yeah, that was. I think Jamie's right. I think we should go through and really take a look at it.
Let's just shelve it to tomorrow and then revisit.
Good call.
Have some fun with it.
Well, speaking of the Vegas Raiders. From the 314, will Josh Jacobs be the biggest name moved at the deadline, and who's the best fit?
Well, I could see that. I mean, the Raiders have had zero success running the ball this season, which is remarkable considering they have last year's leading rusher. But when it comes to fit, you're really looking at a player that needs to be the bell cow. So I don't think it's going to be the usual suspects. Like, could he be a fit for the Steelers? Sure. Actually, the Ravens would be a perfect fit, quite frankly. The Raiders going to deal him to the Ravens? I don't know. But the Ravens are running back poor. Cleveland could use a running back now, obviously, with Nick Chubb out for the year. Looking at some of these other teams. Eagles, no. Cowboys, no. Jamie's Lions, no. Packers could use a running back with Aaron Jones banged up, but they do have him. I'll say the Ravens. I think the Ravens are the best fit, followed by the Browns.
From the 314, why was the Blues season last year a fluke, and last season for the Cards was not a fluke?
Well, I think what we've identified overall is that it goes back to 2 or 3 off seasons in a row where Mo didn't address what they needed as far as pitching staff is concerned. And so when it finally came to a head this year, people were like, well, we saw this coming. We saw this. And as far as Doug Armstrong concerned, not one person saw this coming for the Blues last year. They had a very competitive roster on paper. They had a solid defensive core. Like, everything should have been not Stanley Cup contender, but certainly playoff team. So it was kind of a sucker punch out of nowhere when the season just went abysmal for the Blues last year. Whereas with the Cardinals, I remember talking about the start of the season before they even went into any kind of a massive slump before the season even started. Well, they can out-hit their pitching. They can outscore the opposition because talking about they're going to have a lot more pop at the plate.
Right.
Knowing that, the pitching, we'll see. Well, we'll see turned into a reality.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why. That's just my opinion on it.
Was anybody saying the Blues season was a fluke, though?
No.
Or not a fluke? Or
they're just saying that why are we so willing to be like, oh, wow, that happened to the Blues, But we're looking at it going, well, the Cardinals, we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, but I feel like we broke it down with the Blues, too, with Alex Pietrangelo. We've gone back to the Petro decision and how that has impacted them.
Certainly a chain of events that followed that, yeah.
The other thing was, too, I mean, in our defense, did anybody see the defense struggling as badly for the Blues last season as we showed?
I didn't.
Like, what evidence was it? Like Jamie said, with the Cardinals, the evidence was starting to mount up. Like, you missed opportunities each offseason. You missed opportunities each trade deadline. And then the wheels fell off. With the Blues, there really wasn't, outside of saying, hey, we'll let Petro walk. The season before that, though, was pretty good for the Blues defense.
Yeah.
And that was the first season without Petro. So I didn't foresee the issues popping up like they did last year. But I wouldn't call it a fluke. I would just call it what it was. It was a down season.
From the 636, the Panthers have yet to win a game, but who is the worst 1-4 team in the NFL?
Ooh, Denver Broncos. That team stinks. They're terrible.
Sean Payton.
They're terrible.
Is regretting everything. He is regretting leaving his cushy spot in the booth to where he works once a week, makes a boatload of money, has fun, yucks it up. When he's wrong, who cares?
Yeah.
He thought he looked at that Broncos team and thought he could make a difference. And I'm not being unfair to Sean Payton, but somewhere, somehow, he misevaluated just how bad Russell Wilson is.
Mm-hmm. They're terrible.
I think that's the biggest. Like, if you had a pie chart, Russell Wilson being the problem is the biggest piece of the pie.
Yeah.
In many ways. His performance, for sure, but from what I dissect and read and research, he is not a very well-liked guy in that locker room. He's almost oblivious to the fact of how bad he's playing.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lynch, unsolicited today, they're talking about, you go back to the days with Russell Wilson and this guy and that guy, and they're like, do you stay in touch with some of these guys? And he's talking about that, and he brings up Russell Wilson. He's like, I don't know.
Never had his number.
I never had his number.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had to go through somebody to get his number.
He had to go through the team.
The
just
publicist.
to get Russell Wilson's number.
No, not even to get. No, you wouldn't get the number.
That's right.
The publicist would
tell
Russell to call whoever.
Yeah, and then Marshawn Lynch said that he got a call from an unknown number, or it was either unknown or blocked or something.
Private.
Private. It was Russell Wilson.
That's embarrassing.
Like, I think the guy is just probably, I don't know, I've never met him, but he's probably just so aloof, so tone deaf, just has, like Jamie said, no concept of how he impacts the people around him.
He needs to go. I'm telling you right now, if they just told him to sit at home, and who's the backup quarterback there?
Jarrett Stidham.
Go with him the rest of the year.
Yeah.
If they told Russell Wilson to sit on the bench or sit at home and go with Stidham the rest of the way, I bet you this team, not that they turn it around, like make a playoff push, I bet the team turns it around, though. Because those guys can't stand him so much, they will play their you-know-what off for whoever gets under center.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest problem.
That's terrible.
Well, they're stuck with him.
Yeah.
They are.
The Patriots are in the picture, though. Mm-hmm. The Patriots have scored 55 points this year.
That's so bad.
55 points they've scored this year. They've got a worse point differential than Denver, too. Minus 76 to minus 60. That's awful. The Giants are minus 91 point differential. They scored 62 points, so they're in the picture. I don't know. I don't want to list all the 1-4 teams.
The Giants scored their first half point yesterday because of the defense.
And it's a 104-yard interception return before halftime. It's terrible. I mean, there are some really bad teams this season. Patriots, Broncos, Giants, Panthers, obviously. And then the best 1-4 teams, the Cardinals.
I don't know. The Vikings are a pretty good 1-4.
Yeah, that's true too. Cardinals and Vikings in the parking lot. Who you got?
Where are they playing and what time of day is it?
It's a primetime matchup.
That doesn't even matter anymore at this
Andrew,
point.
can I just play the game?
Fine.
It's a primetime matchup.
Where?
Arizona.
I've got the Cardinals.
He said in the parking lot.
I moved it. I moved venues.
I asked him to change the venue.
It's like the Cardinals. It's the last second change.
You know what? You're probably right. They probably, go down on a last minute drive and
The Vikings would have 500 yards of total offense, 17 points.
yeah, because they had 4 turnovers.
That's correct.
Marshy's going to friggin' lose his
I don't blame him. He's got to be furious.
Think about it. My 3 favorite teams have stunk this year. The Blues, the Cardinals, and now the Vikings.
You've had a rough sports season.
Tough going, Marshy.
A rough
Thank
like
goodness
sports
City
season.
SC is good.
There you go.
Is that one of your teams?
Well, yeah.
Oh, no.
Sorry, St. Louis.
It was a good year. Damn it.
Who's your favorite college football team? You got one?
I don't really have one. No,
Okay.
It used to be Texas, though, growing up during the Vince Young and Colt McCoy days. But once I went to college,
Yeah, you kind of
my school, they weren't a FBS team. It was all hockey there. So I don't really have. I will say, though, I mentioned this to my buddy. What was it, Saturday or something like that, that this year has been the most that I've watched college football in quite some time. Not that I didn't before, but I'm consistently watching games because of how exciting it is.
It is a great. Saturday was a lot of fun,
And
start to finish.
I said at the beginning of the season it wasn't exciting. And then
now you're on board.
And now I'm on board.
Yeah. Poor Marshy. All right. Speaking of Marshy, he's got what's trending for us next on 101 ESPN.
There is a reason why Johnny Londoff Chevrolet has been in business for over 80 years. Customer satisfaction. That is it. That's the end-all, be-all. I can tell you right now that the Londoff family pride themselves on supplying great customer service to everyone looking to purchase a brand new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle. And what you have to remember at Londoff Chevrolet, that buying that vehicle, it's more than just a price tag for the Londoff Chevrolet family. From the moment you walk onto the lot to the moment you drive off in your new vehicle or your pre-owned vehicle, they want to make sure that your experience is awesome. And even once you drive off the lot, they're always following up. I say this all the time, that they schedule your oil change for you before you leave so that the maintenance of your vehicle is up to date. And the best part about Londoff Chevrolet is they got 2 locations now. The original location in Florissant, Missouri, and the new Londoff Autoplex out in St. Peters, right off of Highway 70. Both locations have great inventory. Both locations have state-of-the-art service centers, and both locations are just filled with awesome employees looking to make your experience enjoyable and unforgettable. So please stop by either location. Tell them Jamie Rivers sent you. And if you can't get there in person, get there online. Visit them at londoff.com or londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Johnny Londoff Chevrolet.
the world of sports, the Fast Lane has you covered with what's trending now.
Brought to you by Goodwill. Donate to Goodwill and get a Lion's Choice sandwich coupon.
Welcome back to the Fast Lane here on 101 ESPN. Anthony Stalter, Jamie Rivers, I'm Andrew Marsh, and it's time for What's Trending. Fellas, the Blues and the Centene Community Ice Center will host next season's 2024 Prospect Showcase versus the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild. So more hockey coming our way next year. We'll get to see all the prospects, not only in camp, but we'll see the games as well.
Pretty exciting stuff, man. Think back to, a handful of years ago, and this would never have been possible. And the great thing is that, the Blues now have a great facility over there in Maryland Heights, the Centene Community Ice Center, and everything is built up around that area as well. So there's hotels available, there's restaurants, there's all sorts of things available, and they got, the 3 ice sheets, and they can certainly accommodate 3 pro teams.
Yep.
It's great. The Blues used to go up to Traverse City and participate in the Red Wings little prospect tournament. Last year they went to Minnesota, and next year they will host it. So it's exciting stuff for Blues fans. Anybody who wants to really catch a glimpse of the prospects or even some of the other teams' prospects, watch some good hockey. It's exciting times in the hockey world for St. Louis, but what it does for me is it continues to grow the footprint in the hockey world from the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
Because you don't think more teams are going to want to come and be a part of that situation? So maybe a year from now, Nashville sends a team. Maybe then Dallas puts a team. And all of a sudden, you've got a big major prospect tournament going on here. Mm-hmm. It's always good. It drives revenues up, too. If we're going to talk from a business model, the surrounding area benefits from having all those groups of people in town. I like it, man. It's positive stuff.
Good call.
There are some fans of certain teams that are seated very high in Major League Baseball's postseason that think the postseason format is not that fair. Of course, the Braves, instead of getting the Diamondbacks, who were the lowest seeded team in the National League, they take on the Phillies, and of course they lost game 1. What are your guys' thoughts on Major League Baseball's postseason format? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it should go back to what it used to be?
Obviously this year you don't like it because you've got the Braves and the Phillies. And that's probably the only reason we don't like it.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you do it. Like, would you reseed it after the wild card and then highest winning percentage versus lowest winning percentage? And then, but then what would that even equal out to if we pull it up? Because the Diamondbacks
should play the Braves.
Is that a for sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we pull up winning percentages, and I'm just, not that I don't doubt you, Anthony, I just don't.
You're verified.
I just don't believe you.
I got you.
You're right. The Diamondbacks would have played the Braves, but I just wanted to make sure.
Trust but verify.
Trust but verify. So are we happier with that then? The winning percentages end up being the kind of evaluation?
Yeah. I got 2 thoughts on this. One, I do think you should have the lower seed, or like Jamie's saying, the lower winning percentage take on the higher seed. I mean, that's how it is in most sports. So I would rather have that. However, Braves, hey, you went through this entire season. You were a juggernaut. Don't start complaining now. Go through the Phillies. I know it's not the Braves that are complaining necessarily; it's their fan base. But what did you wanted an easy postseason matchup? You want an easy postseason route? So I do think they should reseed. But come on, you want to be a champion? You got to go through it.
You're the one guy that talked about it before it even started. Well, it's a shame the Phillies and the Braves, and you're the one. And now you're sitting here banging the drum on the other side of it.
That wasn't me. That was Riz.
No, that was you.
No. That crying sounds like
it wasn't crying.
Rizzuto show.
It was banging. It's way different.
Well, it was banging than it was me.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Banging that drum before the playoffs even got to that point, talking about the Phillies and the Braves.
All right, my bad.
It's disgusting.
I forgot my take on it. It's kind of like you were like on a Friday.
What? When?
Saying a team's going to be your upset special only to not take that team on Sunday.
What?
Yeah.
You just don't realize I flip my picks.
Oh, yeah. Well, I flip my opinion then.
Okay.
We're all getting in on it, you know?
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Guys, tell me if you've heard this story before or something similar. The Rangers have been listening to Creed in the clubhouse to get hyped for games. According to pitcher Andrew Haney, it started when they were struggling in the second half of the season this year. He said he hopes that Creed is playing throughout the ballpark before their home games this week because it would fire the team up if fans started to sing along.
Well, there you go.
I mean, who doesn't get fired up listening to Creed, right?
Little My Own Prison.
Arms wide open. You know, like, come on, right?
Yeah. Texas, hey, the Rangers, you know what?
It worked for the Blues.
I was about to say, people probably said, now, why is that their song? Galvanized them.
Yeah.
Galvanized our Blues.
I think it's great. I think the random music becomes a thing for a team
Absolutely.
or a fan base. I think it's fantastic.
Did you ever have a team that had like a specific song, like a win song? Maybe not as big as what it was in 2019 with Gloria.
That's
but
tough to beat when it comes to that. We used to play, when I was with the Blues the 1 year, we had a pretty deep run. We used to play Disco Inferno after the game. Burn, baby, burn. Disco Inferno. It was
That's
awesome.
great.
Dun, 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 burn.
That's great.
We had that year, the playoff theme, too, was we did like 70s facial hair. So guys had mustaches, handlebars, just the big pork chops on the side of the head.
Yeah.
So then when we'd win and play the Disco Inferno, it all was kind of in theme. We looked
Nice.
like a bunch of morons. But
Hey.
it was funny.
But you guys are playing well. That's all that matters.
going back to the Creed thing, every time I see that video of them performing at the halftime for the Dallas Cowboys and that guy has the angel wings flying through, I sit there and I watch it at least like 5 times in a row because it is so funny.
I think I think that Scott Stapp, the lead singer, thinks very highly of himself.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, no, I can tell you for a fact he does. He played a show in Boston, and Flip, the drummer, is a big hockey fan. And so when he heard we were there, he's like asked the people to meet. And we had a mutual friend, Morgan from Seven Dust, mutual friend. So he's like, oh, get down here. Scott Stapp thought he was Mick Jagger. I'd never seen this guy, all 5'6" of this guy, strutting through like he didn't have time for anybody, including his own bandmates. And Flip, the drummer, was like, yeah, he is. He's just like that. I go, oh, boy, he must be fun to tour with.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's a peach, all right. Not long after, Alter Bridge was formed. Figure it out.
With members of Creed minus Scott Stapp.
Figure it out.
Yeah. All right. That's what's trending here in the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie and I just got into it about Brock Purdy. Jamie thinks that we're overlooking Brock Purdy, even though I said the guy was good last year. That's next on 101 ESPN.
He was really good. Everybody was pretty good. But thought he missed one throw throughout the day, from what it seems like. Just a little behind BA in the first quarter on one, and everything else seemed pretty flawless. He did a great job versus real good pass rush, some tight coverages. Guys gave him some time, and also the guys made a lot of plays, too.
That was Kyle Shanahan, 49ers head coach, following last night's beatdown of the Dallas Cowboys. And Brock Purdy put on an absolute show last night, operating Shanahan's offense to near perfection. 3 touchdown passes to George Kittle, 252 yards, 4 touchdowns, and thoroughly outplayed Dak Prescott. So we got the question. Marsh said this was a narrative reality, if you put Dak Prescott in Kyle Shanahan's offense last night, and Brock Purdy goes to the Cowboys, where the results have been the same. And Jamie, you got upset when I said, yeah, I still think that it would be a blowout in favor of the 49ers.
Yeah, it was insulting.
You were insulted by my comment there.
I was insulted on behalf of the entire Purdy family.
Okay.
Quite honestly. The lack of respect that you and the football community have shown towards Brock Purdy is quite disgusting. Watching the game last night, I had to question a couple things. One, Dak Prescott's decisions. 2, Jerry Jones' decisions. But then also, is Brock Purdy, is he a benefactor of the offensive system, or is he a huge part of the offensive system? Because if it's just a system and you can plug in any quarterback, then why don't they? Why did Trey Lance not work? Well, he wasn't able to. Okay, great. So you can't just plug anybody in there. Mm-hmm. And watching Brock Purdy last year, when he first got the opportunity, it was very much tailor-made to just don't lose the game for us. Watching him last night, though, he made some really good decisions. He made some really good plays, really good reads. And we touched on it earlier. The star-studded cast, but that also creates anxiety for your young quarterback, because all of those guys, they're always open and they all want the ball. Mm-hmm. So how do you choose? When you're doing your checkdowns, how are you spreading out the ball effectively? How are you making the right plays, passing it to the right guy, not force-feeding it to the squeaky wheel because he wants the ball and you haven't passed to him in a quarter? So I think Brock Purdy deserves a little more respect than what he's gotten overall, because if it was just plug and play, then they would have just went with Trey Lance.
Yeah.
It's not just plug and play. And Brock Purdy, to me, he's leading. He's assertive out there. He's running that offense. I know he's not calling the plays, but he's the one that's driving it when he's on the field.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to believe that this guy is the real deal.
It goes back to what I've been saying about you got to find the right quarterback to the system, to marry the system, right? You got to blend the two. You're right, Jamie. You can't just drop anybody in there, because Trey Lance should have worked out. However, Trey Lance, what's interesting is that Kyle Shanahan, he wanted to find somebody that was going to elevate his offense more than Jimmy Garoppolo, right? The 49ers wanted to find that. Jimmy Garoppolo had played very well in that system, but you could kind of see the limitations of Jimmy G. They wanted somebody to elevate the offense. John Lynch looked at Trey Lance's raw tools and said, that's the guy. Shanahan looked at Mac Jones and said, nope, that's him. That's who I want.
Oh, boy.
So they went with Trey Lance because of the physical tools, and then took Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft. He was Mr. Irrelevant. Ironically, they found what they were looking for, but they found it in the 7th round, not with the 3rd overall pick. Brock Purdy last night, to your point, showcased his ability to throw downfield. Jimmy G he would live in that intermediate route, he'd find the guy that was 7 yards out and let them run. And because you have Deebo Samuel, and because you had, George Kittle, and because you had name whoever, Jimmy G existed in that offense just fine. What Brock Purdy showed last night, there was a play where he'd have somebody open 5 yards in front of him, and he took the 17-yard post instead, or the 17-yard dig. He is throwing downfield. And Trey Lance did not have the the NFL. I'm sorry, he did not have the experience. Forget NFL, just overall experience. Brock Purdy played at Iowa State, I think, for 14 years. It felt like it. So he's a perfect fit for that system. I'm more in favor of the system. This is more about, as we go to like the Dak Prescott thing, to me, it's more about Shanahan and less about Dak Prescott. I think that the 49ers are that good. I think Shanahan's that good. And I think Brock Purdy is showcasing that he is a perfect fit for that system.
I mean, look, I think both opinions can be true to a certain extent. I just look at how many guys would be unsuccessful in that spot. Like, there are a lot of quarterbacks that would be unsuccessful.
Yeah. Guys that are inaccurate would have a hard time with that.
But then
Justin Fields would not play well.
But then the credit then has to shift then to Brock Purdy, because it's not just the system, because now the player, to your point you're talking about, the player has to execute.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got a system with a player that can execute. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is the next Tom Brady. I'm not at all. But I'm also not saying that he's Mr. Irrelevant. I'm also not just going to sit here and say that, whoever you put under center there is just going to have success. They're going to be just fine. To a certain extent, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a guy that got them like all the way deep in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
Hell, he got them there on barely an arm at one point.
Yeah, he had to go back into that.
He had to go back in.
Game. No, you're right, Jay. I think now it's time. Look, you do it on that stage last night, Sunday Night Football game, primetime matchup. The Cowboys are coming in, and all eyes are on the matchup, and all we kept doing was talking about Brock Purdy. So I think he's going to start getting the attention that he has earned to this point. But you're right. Not every quarterback is going to fit into that system and do just fine. Like I said, if you've got guys that are inaccurate, so I'll pull up a list right now. If you've got guys, I mentioned Justin Fields, but Jordan Love would not excel in that system. I think Anthony Richardson might have issues. Kenny Pickett might have issues. Fields I'd mentioned. Deshaun Watson, based on what his accuracy has been, would not thrive in that. Derek Carr hasn't been accurate enough. I think that's your overall point, Jamie. Brock Purdy can elevate that system now, but Shanahan knows what he's doing. I mean, to get all those weapons so wide open in some regards is remarkable. But what Purdy did, finding Kittle in the back of the end zone and some of the throws he was making to the sidelines, that's when you can tell.
Well,
this dude's got it.
And it's also processing what's happening in front of him.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Kyle Shanahan, when he designs plays, it's not a play that's specifically just one guy that's available. Like, as a quarterback in that system, he has to process things quickly and realize where his mismatch is, where the opportunity is. So I think you got to give credit to Brock Purdy. And the best part, I give credit now to the San Francisco 49ers. They just locked him up again.
Mm-hmm.
He makes under $1 million for the next 3 years.
Wow.
And this is a team that, based on us, is a Super Bowl contender.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should win the Super Bowl this year.
They've been the best
Watching
team.
that defense and the way the offense is humming right now, I think they're the team to beat.
The 49ers and Eagles have been the two best teams in the league. Then I think you can go to like the Dolphins, Chiefs, and Bills in that area. After that, and the Lions, Jamie. The Lions deserve to be in that category.
You're right. But I love the Lions, but I think
they're not on the Niners level yet.
I think the Niners are a better team, man.
No, they are. In the NFC, the pecking order is the 49ers, the Eagles, the Lions, long pause, Cowboys, and then you can get into like your Seahawks. And then, of course, the NFC South, best division in football right now, save for the Panthers. Every team is above 500. Every team in the NFC South is above 500 except for the Panthers.
Yeah, they're way behind it.
No other division in football, guys, has 3 teams above 500.
The worst division in football.
The NFC South, boys. That's where the true talent lies.
Yep.
Know what I mean? When you've got Shaky Bakey, Derek Carr, and Desmond Ridder in your division, you know good things are happening. Right, Marsh?
Yeah, Anthony. Hey, you know what? Kudos to Desmond Ridder for putting together a final drive that ultimately won them the game.
So as I was tuning in yesterday, when he threw that shovel pass behind Bijan Robinson, who caught it one-handed and then put it behind his back as he was running, and then finally secured it and went in the end zone. I go, this guy can't even throw a shovel pass right. So when the Texans scored a touchdown to go up, I go, there's no way in hell that Desmond Ridder is going to put this team into position for a game, just an attempt. He's going to throw a pick. He's going to take a bad sack or something. And then I think in 4 plays he had him in field goal position. I go, okay, I'll shut my mouth now.
That was a surgical drive.
It was.
Threw to the outside and saved the clock.
Yep.
It was a good drive.
And they had timeouts left because the announcers kept saying, well, you could throw to the middle. You could throw to the middle. Throw to the guy that's open. And that's what Ridder did. You know, Ridder and Justin Fields took so much criticism following last week's performance. Like, they were getting crushed all week. Those two guys had 2 of the better games. So good for them.
Yeah.
Can they do it 2 games in a row?
No,
I don't
probably
know.
not.
Yeah. It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Build your sleeper team. We got the results. Jamie won the first week. We'll see who won the second. And then biggest question of the day next on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
I'm Andrew Marsh. It's time for a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues placed Callie Rosen, Nathan Walker, Mackenzie McEachern, and Malcolm Subban on waivers. All 4 cleared, and they'll begin the year in the AHL. The Blues will begin their season against the Dallas Stars on Thursday. Pregame starts at 6. Puck drop is at 7, and you can catch all the action right here on 101 ESPN. Tonight we have Monday Night Football to end Week 5 of the NFL season. Packers taking on the Raiders. Pregame starts at 6:30. If you missed anything from today's show, make sure you go to 101ESPN.com or check out the 101 mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. We have our results from our sleeper team and the biggest question of the day coming up next. I'm Andrew Marsh, and the Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, the independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
It's the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Andrew Marsh, Anthony Stalter. Appreciate you listening. So, Marsh, you got the build your sleeper team results?
I do, Anthony, and I think you're going to like what I have to say.
All right.
So let's just start off with the worst of the group. That would be myself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just a terrible week on this side of the studio.
Yeah, just a terrible week. Oh, Marsh.
I had Joshua Dobbs, Ramondre Stevenson, and Tank Dell on my sleeper team. Josh Dobbs, one of the top quarterbacks in fantasy this year, despite being on the Cardinals. You know, they're a good try-hard team. He had 8.74 points. Ramondre Stevenson did nothing in that loss against the Saints, and Tank Dell looked good and then got injured.
Yeah.
So my total was 19.44 points. Coming in first place, though, Anthony Stalter with 56.28.
Oh, crap.
Jamie, you had 37.68.
That's better than I thought it was.
Yeah. We'll start with Jamie's team. He had Joe Burrow with 23.38. Jonathan Taylor, 4.4. And Tyler Boyd with 9.9.
I can't believe he got that much.
Didn't feel like it.
It didn't feel very good at all.
No.
Anthony, you had Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
26.08.
4 tutties.
Jaleel McLaughlin.
You don't even believe it.
Stop it.
McLaughlin had.
Now I don't believe in somebody from the Bay Area. Okay. Boy, that's a moving target you guys got. Go ahead, Mark.
Anyways, Jaleel McLaughlin had 17.9 points. Zay Flowers 12.3. Probably could have had more, but he fell. 56.28, and you two are now tied on the season, 1-1, and I have 0.
Just like we're tied in that home run derby we keep forgetting about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Son of a.
Pick a player tonight.
Do we have a game tonight?
Yeah, we got one game going on right now. The Phillies and Braves. Phillies up 1-0, by the way. Diamondbacks.
Was it a home run? I'll take that guy.
Let me see.
Probably Schwarber.
Let me see.
Yeah. Probably the guy I would take.
No, it wasn't a home run. This is Alec Boehm singling. All right, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Jamie. Home run derby. We're still looking here. I don't even know if the lineups are out. Let's see.
I'm trying to find that too right now.
Let's see what we got here. They are out.
Where are they at?
MLB.com. Just Google MLB lineups. Walmart plays the sounder. We're still in sudden death.
Believe what I just saw. Home run.
Okay, there we go.
We have to make it official.
We do. You're right.
All right. Am I picking first?
Go for it.
I'm going to take Corbin Carroll.
Okay. All right. Probably a good idea to go with the Diamondback, given how hot they've been.
Well, and I looked at the picture for the Diamondbacks and Zach Gallen.
Yep. It's not pretty. I'm going to go with Mookie Betts.
2 leadoff guys.
Yeah.
Ooh, battle of the leadoffs, baby.
Entangled. All right, so Jamie's got Corbin Carroll. I've got Mookie Betts as we try to break our home run tie.
As we try to remember.
To play the home run derby. We can't do the tie. All right, so we got to keep pushing here. Now, time for the biggest question of the day.
There we go.
It's time for the Fast Lane's biggest question of the day.
All right, gentlemen, we got a text earlier in the show. We were talking about the Mizzou LSU game from the 314. Another misstep by Drink. Don't forget the field goal Harrison Mevis saved him on with the delay of game earlier in the year against Kansas State.
Yeah.
Seems like a pattern of in-game coaching mistakes. The question I have for you, gentlemen, should we still be critical of Drink with some of his questionable decision-making?
Yeah, I do. I think that's a great point. I think it's a great text. And thus far, Jamie, going back to our conversation about Mizzou and LSU, one of the biggest differences was the second half adjustments. Jamie had talked about maybe the offense going in a little bit of a shell. I had highlighted how Brian Kelly and his LSU staff, they were baiting Mizzou's defense a couple of times to allow Daniels to run. He doesn't need opportunities to showcase his rushing ability. You had a spy on him at one point. That 35-yard run, they slipped the guard out to block the linebacker that was the spy on that play, wiped him completely, nearly out of the play, but just enough for Daniels to find a lane and go. They spread everybody out, so the corners and safeties were on the outside too. So it was kind of a perfect little play design. But that was based on what Mizzou was doing in the first half with that spy. Sometimes they'd blitz, then they wouldn't, then they faked. I thought that the second half adjustments were better on the LSU side than Mizzou side. And I think that's been a bit of a theme this year for Mizzou games.
Oh, there's no doubt. LSU changed things. Their adjustments that they made were better than what Mizzou made. Look, Mizzou, the problem with what happened with Mizzou is that they got conservative in the second half and then had to open it up again because they fell behind. And then when they got ahead again, they got conservative. It was just a roller coaster ride. And let's be honest, their defense couldn't shut down the running game. They couldn't do it. Bottom line. So were they just, I guess maybe there's another question to it too, Anthony, is, yes, the decisions, but physically was LSU just a better team?
I think that offensively, one of the biggest on-field takeaways I had was LSU's offense gave Mizzou problems from a speed standpoint.
I'm talking about as the game went on, right? So in the first half,
like a physical standpoint.
Yeah, did LSU wear down Mizzou?
I just thought there was more. I thought the lack of overall speed on defense, I thought, was the issue for Mizzou. I didn't think that they got physically pushed around as much as it was.
I just wonder, whenever there's a running game like that, I always feel like someone's getting pushed around.
And I thought Mizzou's running game was pretty good.
They should have stuck to it more often at times.
Yeah.
But then, then the decisions, they're 2nd and 1, they're passing the football. Why? Your running game was fine. It would have got you a yard. And then the wheels start to fall off at times. I guess I'm just disappointed because I was really excited for Mizzou to beat LSU. And when I saw them get up by as much as they had throughout the game, and then to hand it back and then get back up again and then hand it back, I was just it still just got me really ticked.
And you knew what was at stake for Mizzou. If you get that one, then you build even. You just keep adding the momentum, and then you got Kentucky, and Kentucky's coming off the loss now to Georgia. Not to minimize that matchup at all, but this was your opportunity to really say, all right, this is one of these years for Mizzou. Well, we're gonna make some noise here in the SEC, and then to lose like that, I don't know. Hopefully they get off the map, they take care of business against Kentucky, and then the schedule from an SEC standpoint lightens up a little bit again.
They got Georgia again.
They got Georgia down the road, but then they got South Carolina.
They get a couple, yeah.
So, all right, it's Fastlane on 101 ESPN. Jamie Rivers, Anthony Stalter. What you missed, criticisms, compliments next. Jamie, you know, you've been through that process before. You're trying to find a house. You're trying to make sure that you get the loan in place, and it could be a little hectic. It'd be exciting, but you also want to know, is this the right time to buy? Should I be, allocating funds to a new house? Well, all these questions can be covered by our guy, Stewie.
Yeah, he's your one-stop shop. No matter what you're looking to do, whether it's purchasing a home like Anthony's talking about, was refinancing, debt consolidation. There's a lot of people out there right now that have a lot of debt that they've accrued over the years, and they don't know what to do, and maybe you're nervous or scared. Pick up the phone and call Stewie. He's got something to help you through the situation. And he gives out his personal cell phone number so you can call him or text him. That number is 314-324-4440.
Again, that number is 314-324-4440.
He should be your first call all the time. And even if you're purchasing a home, like Anthony just talked about, and your realtor has a preferred lender, well, that's great. Call Stewie. Get a second opinion. It's always great to get a second opinion. Stewie's our guy. He needs to be your guy. And Anthony, if for some reason they can't remember that phone number,
you can always Google the Bagel Loan.
NMLS number 226715.
ESPN has your chance to score free tickets for KISS. October 25th at Enterprise Center. Tickets for the End of the Road Tour on sale now. The very last tour ever for the legendary KISS. Get all the ticket details and get entered to win those free tickets right now at either 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app.
If you missed anything from today's show, you can download the podcast available at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 ESPN mobile app. It's all brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Talked a lot of football today. Also mixed in some Blues and Cardinals. Jamie discussed what the final roster moves mean for the Blues moving forward. Did some Blues cues as well. What can we take away from the fact that the Cardinals did not have their post-season press conference? Jamie and I disappointed in that one and talked about how it's a bad look for the front office of the Cardinals. Talked a lot about Mizzou's loss to LSU and what went wrong there. Played Prophecies and it sounded good at the time. Plus narrative or reality. And are we overlooking Brock Purdy? That's all available at the podcast. Again, at 101ESPN.com. You're on your 101 ESPN mobile app. Marsh, we got any criticisms or compliments?
Yeah, I always love looking at the YouTube chat presented by our friends with the Air Alliance team. And, the chat always fun to read because usually they're yelling at us, right?
Yeah.
They're sharing their opinions, maybe for or against what we're saying. But today there was a little back and forth within the YouTube chat between Ryan and Yingling Mike. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how the adult dating chat spam bot infiltrated our YouTube page.
Oh, no. Did it?
I think it did.
I saw that, and I was perplexed. And, I don't know how that happens, to be honest. I don't know how these things occur.
It stinks.
I know.
How do we avoid that?
You got me.
Not us, like our channel. Like, how's that happen? Like, block them, but I feel like then they'll just send another one somewhere.
I feel like we just need to ignore them.
Yeah.
Like, they won't go away.
Well, Marshy shouldn't have clicked on it. I mean, that was the problem.
Well, yeah, Marsh.
I mean, curiosity, sure, but
yeah, but you know better at this point.
Come on,
you've done it enough.
Well, I mean, you told me to do what you guys wouldn't do. Everything you do the opposite. That's what I was told.
He's got us on that.
True.
Okay. All right, Marsh.
I just try not to click on those.
Okay.
Yeah. Moving forward, don't do that.
Frowned upon.
I won't do it.
Yeah.
From the 636, Boomer Jamie getting tricked by the internet once again.
Which, no, you know what? Oh, yeah, yuck it up, Anthony. Oh, yeah, you're not a boomer. Yuck it up, Anthony.
I am, but I feel like you get tricked by the internet way more.
I don't know, because here's the real thing is I'll look at my phone and I don't have the volume on per se, and I'll like kind of sort of be flipping through, and then I see something like that and it's pertinent to like what I'm already thinking, and so I will it into existence. Anthony, that's what I do. It has to be real.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair. This sounds good to me.
And thanks, Elon, for taking away the blue check marks.
Yeah.
That's got everybody. And now anybody can have them. That screws up everything. I can't tell what's real or fake anymore at all.
I know.
By the way, we had text messages rolling in the day that you said that when we were at Scott Air Force Base, and some people were saying, word around the street is that Elon Musk has bought the St. Louis Cardinals, and now they will pursue 3 pitchers this offseason.
They will. Prices of no issue.
We should turn that into a bit. What is Elon Musk buying now?
Guys, we have a new Gauntlet wheel, and of course, people were already complaining about it earlier today. From the 314, Riz here, this game is rigged.
And we know it's him because that's what he normally says.
Well, he's an avid listener, too.
Yeah. We appreciate you listening, Riz.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about Creed earlier today from the 314. You had me listen to Disco Inferno because you nailed the intro, Jamie. The Tramps, I saw orange and white leisure suits with bell bottoms. There was even a 10.5 minutes live version. That beat is infectious, but so simple to play. The offbeat 1/8 notes on HH make it work.
You're welcome. That's all I'd say. You're welcome. Anybody
that is a cool song to
headed home,
do your thing.
Once the fast lane tunes off here, just pull it up. Disco Inferno by the Tramps. You will thank me. You won't be able to stop singing in your head for the rest of the day, but it won't matter because it's worth it.
You're gonna love it.
Uh-huh.
And once you're done with that, tune into our instant replay from 6 to 6:30. And then, of course, we have Monday Night Football.
No doubt.
Yeah, little
Raiders
break
and Packers.
There, right in the commercial break.
Yeah.
Just plug in your Inferno right there.
Jamie, why don't you go ahead and give us that intro again? That almost sounds like Metallica.
So that's interesting. That's way different. Marshy, pull it up on the YouTubers.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you can. You're fine.
No, you can't.
Why not?
You can't.
Yeah, it's copyrighted music.
Yeah, YouTube.
You want us to get booted from YouTube again?
But can't we just play the song? We play lots of songs.
No, you can't do it, Jamie.
Those days are numbered.
Right.
Well, this is stupid.
Plus,
when
we're done here, they got to go listen to it.
Yeah.
It's a good point. But now I kind of want to listen to it. You know, I'm going to pull it up, although I have no volume on my computer. It's difficult. That's why I get tricked all the time.
It's a volume.
Yes.
The volume gets you.
Whatever.
Yeah.
From the 314, I find it funny when people hate on the lower tier quarterbacks in the NFL. They act like they are terrible, but the reality is that they are currently in the top 30 or 40 quarterbacks in the world. I understand why it happens, but I still think it's funny.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You could do that for any sport.
Don't you know that we don't care? I had this the other day. I was over visiting with my good buddy, Tony Twist. We were sitting around talking about hockey and whatnot, and then we were laughing about people who say that certain guys suck. That guy sucks. Meanwhile, he's the 0.1% of people that make the level that they're at.
Yeah.
And we just sit here and go, that guy sucks. And we're no better with the quarterbacks.
No.
Or the pitching staff.
Yeah,
that guy sucks.
That guy sucks.
Yeah, Anthony, well said. Well said. We should do better. But you know what? We're not going to.
No, it's going to be tough to do better on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you watch it and, you get a quarterback throwing 3 interceptions or throwing perfect pick sixes. And I'm not talking about Brady Cook, by the way. I'm talking about NFL quarterbacks.
I think
it's kind of hard not to sit there and be like, this guy's terrible.
Well, and I think that it's difficult to add the disclaimer every time, too. Like, this guy sucks when we're talking about the 30 best quarterbacks in the world right now.
If we're talking about the context of the 32 best quarterbacks, this guy is not good.
Not good.
But, boy, if he was with a different group, like us in the studio, he'd be the best quarterback. Just run through every disclaimer ever.
Be great. I just got called a boomer again on the text line.
You did. Let it go.
And
people.
you know what? The text line has been on their game today, and we appreciate everyone texting into the Air Comfort Service text line. Last one here from Thanks Dad. Mentioning the text line is undefeated. Undefeated, that's right.
So is Anthony.
Yep. You missed that. I called the team undefeated today. What I meant was undefeated. We'll try better tomorrow.
Will we?
Ish. Marsh mentioned this before, but we do have instant replay coming up from 6 to 6:30, followed by Raiders-Packers pregame at 6:30 and the kickoff of the game about 7:15 or so. Go Packers. We're going to need the Packers. If they win tonight, we tie for this week, and tie at this point, a lot better than a loss. We don't want to be 3-2, boys. I'm not digging that. For Andrew Marsh and Jamie Rivers, I'm Anthony Stalter. We appreciate everybody listening today. Everybody have a great night. See you.